Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Let's stand, if you will, and let's have a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for today and for this meeting time to transact county business. We just turn this agenda over to you and ask for your direction and guidance on each item. I want to say a prayer for what is going on right now in Jerusalem and the establishment of the U.S. Embassy over there. I pray for your divine protection over all that are involved in that. Pray for Jimmy Parker's mother-in-law after she's broken her hip, that you will provide her quick surgery and quick healing. For that matter, just be with he and Barbara while they are away. Lord, once again, we thank you for Titus County, for Mount Pleasant, for the surrounding communities, and for our citizens, for those that work for the county. We ask for your continued watch care over this community and for your continued blessing. We have so much to be thankful for, and we give you the praise. In Christ's name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item on today's agenda, and today is the first meeting in the month of May, and it's 9 a.m. Today is the 14th, and we will begin with our item number one that is usually a number one item, and that's an opportunity for folks in the audience to address the court on any non-agenda items in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Anyone that would like to speak just in general or on a particular item, I'll give you that opportunity as we go through each agenda item. All right, and we'll move along to item number two, and that's the approval of our minutes from our last meeting.
Make that motion.
Motion is made by Commissioner Applewhite, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number three is our report from our road engineer, Roger Ledbetter. Morning, Roger, and welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning. All right, we've been working on 1065, which is the first road on our seal coat and on our seal coat list, and it's primed and ready to be sealed. We plan on seal coating 1065 probably the last week of this month, and hopefully seal the sections that we reworked on 1920 and 1915 probably about the same time the last week of this month. We plan on sealing 1065 with grade 4 aggregate and sealing the short sections of 1920 and 1950 with the old grade 5 aggregate that's been stockpiled in the yards for years, so we can get that used up.
What's the difference on those,
Just
Roger?
the size of the aggregate.
Which one's bigger?
The grade 4 is bigger than the grade 5.
The smaller the number, the bigger?
Yes.
Okay. So we had to we purchased that, and then we had the grade 5 on hand?
Yes, we bought the grade 4 at the end of last year, and the grade 5's been sitting around in stockpiles for several years.
Okay. When do you use one over the other?
Well, the grade 5's probably going to be a little dirtier right now just because it's been in the stockpile so long, and I wanted to use it on the places that we're kind of reworking,
yeah,
and not on our actual seal coat roads that we got on our seal coat prep list. I think it'll work fine for those with the grade 5.
Okay.
You can shoot more oil with the grade 4 than you can with the grade 5, so you get a better seal coat out of the grade 4 than what you do out of the grade 5.
Okay.
We replaced 9 cross drainage structures since the last court meeting on several county roads. Some of the county roads were County Road 1362, County Road 1035, County Road 1038, County Road 1330, County Road 1200. We replaced 3 structures on County Road 1905 and 1 structure on County Road 4670. A lot of these structures were basically rusted out, caved in, water couldn't drain through them. One of them, I think Al's familiar with it, you know, the circle over on the west side of Tankersea Lake. You know, had a lot of calls on it. We've got it draining pretty good now. We still need to get an easement to get it on out, but right now it's not flooding the whole end of the circle down there like it did before. We used some of the coal mix that we made in Precinct 1 to backfill these structures. We started side cutting at several locations throughout the county, and we'll continue to side cut this week. We're also doing base repairs throughout the county. We started on those last week, and we'll continue to do base repairs this week. We're using the coal mix we're making in Precinct 1 mixing field for the base repairs. And we're planning on overlaying County Road 1220 and County Road 4510, which is the FEMA projects. We're going to try to get that one done next week. So we hope all this works out and we got good weather and we can get those county roads, get that FEMA work done, and start seal coating the week after that.
Has your new equipment been, you've purchased the equipment, the water truck? Is there anything you haven't purchased yet in the way of approved equipment?
Well, there's always some we need, but no, right now, that was everything that was on our list.
Water truck worked out okay?
Water truck's fine. We got to make a few minor adjustments to it. It's actually set up to spray like 44 foot wide. We don't need it to spray 44 foot wide, so we're going to have to do some adjustments on the spray nozzles, which basically are just 2-inch caps, 2-inch metal caps. You can buy it at any plumbing repair place, and it's got a slot cut in it, so we're going to have to modify the slots because we don't need it to spray out into the woods.
Yeah, I agree.
We ain't got to wait 44 feet anywhere.
No, we haven't got 44 foot anywhere, so we need to get it sprayed about 16 to 20 foot. But we can work that bug out. We tried to just adjust them in, but when we adjusted them in, we were getting too much water in the middle. So we're going to have to modify them to get it to do what we want it to do.
Okay, so another week and a half, and you'll be doing your seal coat.
Yes, we'll start on it.
All right. Anything else?
Y'all got any questions?
Commissioners?
What's your temperature at night?
You can shoot emulsion down at 50 degrees at night, but it's better to have 70 degrees at night.
Yeah, that's what.
And we're getting a lot closer to that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if the humidity would start.
Well, I know that's what
Getting a little lower.
told me to do. That, it's cold at
Yeah.
night. You can't start until it gets
Right. You'll lose all the rock off of it if it sets up too quick. Gets hard too quick.
All right.
You have any other questions?
All right, if not, thank you. I don't think we have any other road-related issues on here. If y'all want to go or stay, that's up to you.
All right.
Thank you, Roger. Item number 4 is a major consideration here related to security and exterior cameras, but I want you to consider and possibly approve the purchase of exterior cameras along with a digital video recording system for the exterior of the main courthouse, which would be paid out of the security fund. This is something we had talked about a couple of months ago. Paul Lindsey had kind of briefed you on that, and Paul's been working with Dennis Newman on this, trying to figure out a way that we could affordably cover the outside and at least get some, a good overall view. And they presented me what their idea is here, and I think it sounds good, but I've got both these gentlemen here today to tell you more about it and what something like this will cost us. So, Paul, welcome. Thank you for coming, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Judge. Thanks, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to bring this up to you. I have been working with Dennis on this. We had talked with Commissioners Court about the ability to cover our parking lot. Dennis has come up with a method or a system where we can put them on the light poles on each corner. And the reason for that is we really can't attach them to this building because of the trees. Nobody wants to cut down the trees. Trees are beautiful, and they enhance, I think, the courthouse quite a bit. But we can take those cameras, put 2 to the pole out there, and point them in each direction That'd be a total of 8 cameras, and pretty much cover anything that goes on in that parking lot. With our cars, if somebody tries to do something to somebody's vehicle out there, or there's a fight or something like that, we're able to record that. It's a good system. It would add 8 cameras to our already existing 12, or 13 now. And it would be, I think it'd really enhance our ability to observe what goes on out there. And Dennis can explain any technical aspects of it. He put it together in 2 different options. One's around $16,000 and one is around $21,000 for the 8 cameras. The difference, I believe, more than anything else, is just the quality of the camera that you're putting out there and what it'll be able to record or pick up. It's state of the art. Dennis has always been good about anything that I needed as far as the camera system, and that's not just for the courthouse, but the annex and the Justice Center. He's always been there for me anytime I needed him. And he sells a good product and he services a good product, and that's why I have always dealt with him. Have any questions about it?
So 4 poles, 4 different vantage points, but 2 cameras, each obviously in different directions on each of those 4 poles.
Right. You would have one, say we're talking about the east parking lot out here, you'd have one pointing back down this way, which would pick up anything, at least probably 3/4 of it, or at least half. Then you're going to have one on this pole out here that's going to point back in the same direction, which would allow you to pick up most everything on the north end of it. So I mean, it's a good system, and it would be pretty thorough as far as catching whatever's going on out in that parking lot. Nothing's perfect. It wouldn't be 100%. There's no doubt about that. But it's probably, with an outside system, that's as close as you're going to get to 100%. Wouldn't you agree with that, Dennis?
And this is going to require its own digital video recording device rather than tapping into the existing one. And I know Dennis can explain that, but that'll give us quite a bit more storage, because this thing's going to gobble up storage with all the motion and movement that's going on around the courthouse and cars and such.
Right. I think Dennis has set up a good system on being able to reach back 45 days at least to be able to pick up something that occurred out there that we need to find. Would it get 45 and put the 36 terabytes on it? Okay. And it would really enhance the system we got here at the main courthouse.
Okay.
So, anyway.
All right. Dennis, let's hear from you a little bit more about this system and what the difference in the options are that you're giving us.
Thank y'all. Good morning.
Good morning.
As Paul said, the objective is to see something in the parking lot that we need to look at later on, and the 36 terabytes hopefully will give us. And if we go with there's 2 different options there, and like you said, the only difference is a higher quality camera. Not necessarily quality, but higher resolution. The first bid is for 2 megapixel cameras, which are prevalent throughout the industry, and they give you a good sharp picture. I mean, it's what you consider 1080p on your TVs. It's high definition. But when you get to looking at that distance across there, the camera will be looking at 84 feet from that post to about the center before the other camera looks back the opposite direction. At that distance, if you're going to try to get any kind of close definition, you need good quality camera. And that second bid is an 8.1 megapixel camera, which is the highest one in the industry that we can use to record that, and that's why we have to have the extra hard drive space, is because even though these are the newer cameras, they're using the newest H.265 compression, which basically puts as much video into small space as you can get it, still they use a lot of space, and we want to be able to look back as far as we can. That is the maximum amount we can put in the NVR itself, but it does have a SATA port for it, so if we needed to, we can put an external hard drive or a series of hard drives on it and accumulate more data for a longer period of time. The only problems with this is we will need to coordinate with SWEPCO or AEP, because those poles, I've checked it, and it's the lamp poles that have the arched light on them. They're in the corner. They're right in line with the parking. which puts them in a perfect position to look at the cars that are in that lot. We'll be able to see out into the parking lot on the sides. The lenses on the cameras are adjustable. They're varifocal, and you can zoom in or zoom out to set the field of vision we want to see, and therefore we can get as much as we can. Along with any camera, when you widen the field of view, you push things further away, so to speak. So the tighter the field, the closer look you're going to get at it. But it'll be in a position where we can see the traffic coming across, pulling out, and the exits coming in, and also these parking lots, parking spots that are out on the outside edge also. I checked with my integrator, the factory that builds these, and we tried to work out the best specs that we can to give you the best video possible, really. So that's really the question as to if you want to put the higher camera. The other cameras are going to be really good. I mean, they're going to be the only place we have any that's close to these are and Paul's probably seen the video on the parking lot on the south end of the annex over there into that parking lot. They're higher definition. The reason we have to obviously is to put the new NVR in is because the other one is filled up with these other cameras, and we need a separate system. Plus, these are all using network video cables, so it's a different type system, uses different wiring and everything else.
You know, and if we were just sitting there generically watching that screen with the cheaper cameras, it would be a good looking pictures. You need this higher camera in case you needed to zoom in on something and we really were trying to pick out a face or something like that?
If you looked at the two cameras side by side in the field and you're just watching them side by side, you probably wouldn't be able to tell a lot of difference with your naked eye. The difference comes in when later on Paul's reviewing it and he needs to zoom in to a field view, the small, try to get a license plate or whatever. As you bring in, you obviously lack of a better description, it's like looking at a quarter-inch mesh piece of wire versus a screen wire. You've just got more pixels covering it, so as you zoom in, you get a clearer picture at that closer distance. So with the other cameras, you can still zoom in with the other cameras. It's just as you start coming in 6 and 7 times the normal rate as you zoom in, or as he zooms in, which you can, as he's reviewing this, he can pull in video and zoom it in on either system. It's just with the higher quality lens or higher resolution lens, then you're going to be able to get in closer and see more with less pixelation. Because the closer you get with any camera, it'll zoom in. This is probably I'd say as good as is feasible. This particular company make cameras for the Border Patrol, and they have huge cameras that are as big as a bed of a truck that'll zoom in 30 miles away. And the problem is that's $250,000 or something. I forgot the cost. When he told me how much it cost, well, I lost interest in it. I was real fascinated that I could zoom in 30 miles away and see kids playing on the playground, and then he told me the cost of it, and I lost interest. So, but they have the capability. This company is working on new analytics to where you can screen and filter traffic coming in and tell the number. If you want to add that to this system at a later date, they're keeping up with the technology of the world, where you can filter and watch activity of people and detect certain types and things like that. So.
And these are wireless cameras, or you're going to run?
What we propose, and the only way we'll put a box on each pole, which will house a power supply for the camera. It's a PoE type. It's power over Ethernet, and that's what will power the cameras as well as the device. And we'll put a transmitter on that will send the signal back to this main building wirelessly. And then it'll be hardwired into the NVR, which will be in the same room as our current NVR. The reason, obviously, we can't string wires across, or I wouldn't want to string wires overhead, and the wireless Ethernet access points are cheaper than trying to tunnel across over there. They're not but $150 a piece, so it's far cheaper to send it across, and we've got those systems at. Matter of fact, the city, we've got some over at their maintenance building over there that send across from one building to the next. Over in Douglasville, Bowie Cass, we've got several of them because there's so much concrete in that area, and these have a range of 6 miles. So this 100 yards across over there is not going to be any kind of problem at all. We don't have any problems with any kind of breakdown in communications. The data streams the video without any incident. And without a storm or something like that disrupts the power, you never see any problem at all. The boxes we're going to put on the poles won't be the access points are about this tall and this wide. We will have to put them on the side of the courthouse here and also on this other side of the courthouse, simply because I don't want to try to carry video all the way around from pole to pole to get back to the first pole, because time it runs through 3 different poles, the latency is going to be too much and you'll have too much lag time, and then you will run into problems. But we can get wire from the server room across to this side and also out to this side, so then the video will be pushed into the building through those transmitters from the poles. Now the poles, they've already got electricity on the base of them, so the city has already put plugs there. We just need them to put us an electric plug up next to the top, just 120. This whole 2 cameras, the POE injectors and the access point, won't use any more electricity than probably maybe a DVD player or something. It wouldn't use as much as a TV, about half what a TV will use for all of those. So I don't think there's going to be any issue with anybody trying to, worrying about power consumption, is what I mean. Okay. Do y'all have any questions as to I try not to get too heavy into the technological part of it. The system is more, I'd say probably as dependent as hardwire copper, just because we've used it so much and don't have any issues with it. So. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, a large expenditure here again. Paul, can we pay for this out of the security fund?
Yes, sir, we can.
And your opinion on the cameras 1 or camera 2 option?
Well, if you look at the resolution on the cameras that Dennis is talking about over at the annex, they've got a couple of those cameras there, and I mean it is clear and you can zoom in on stuff. Ours that we currently have now, I mean you can zoom in, but it starts to fade pretty fast as far as being able to pick out characteristics of stuff like a license plate or something like that. So obviously I'd rather have the more expensive one, simply because of what it's capable of doing.
Commissioners, any questions about any of this? You think this is a good idea? If so, what would you like to do?
Make a motion to go with what Paul recommended, option 2.
Okay, motion is made by Commissioner Fields that we purchase this 8-camera system, 8.1 megapixel resolution cameras that'll be mounted on the 4 corners of the block here surrounding the main courthouse. And these higher resolution cameras results in a total cost of parts $18,097 and $3,800 in labor, for a total of $21,897 to be paid for out of the security fund.
Second.
Second is made by Commissioner Applewhite. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor of supporting this purchase, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Paul, I know you spent some time along with Dennis. Thank you very much. They showed me the setup we've got now upstairs on the juvenile probation, and that whole system is working really nicely, accomplishes what we wanted it to accomplish. Looks very nice, very functional, and I know Dennis will make sure that this one is as well. So thank you both. Look forward to...
One other thing I want to mention, Judge, we went to the we were at the security meeting the other day, and there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trying to do more as far as securing our workplace and that kind of thing. I think this is a good step towards that. I've looked at some of the individual offices around here about how you would go about limiting access to those offices by unwanted individuals in those areas. Cheryl, Ms. Preddy is one of them that we probably want to take a look at how we could secure that office so that she could at least limit the people that she wants in there. Dennis is going to work me up a little program similar to what we have upstairs, but it's a lot cheaper simply because you just have to throw the wires over the top to get it in there. But anyway, that's going to be coming up, and I'm going to talk to y'all about that. Joan also needs to look at how we're going to be able to secure her area a little better than it is, so that you can keep people out of her work area. Now there's not really any way to do that. They just walk through a swinging door if they want to go back there. And so we're going to be looking at trying to enhance their individual offices' security, because the way this old courthouse is built, with as many exits, with the elevator that opens to the outside, it's going to be difficult to ever secure this thing in a real good, secure manner. But it's not that hard to secure the individual offices like we did up at juvenile probation. That's a good program, works real well. They're able to talk to the people. I'm able to see down when I'm at my desk who's at their door. And so that's a good program, and we need to look at some of the other offices around here and do the same thing, similar to it anyway, okay? And we'll be talking about this more.
Thanks again. All right, moving on to item number 5. Steve Austin is going to talk to us about possibly adding some additional names to our Veterans Monument here. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Judge. It's my privilege to advocate today for a group, the Pilot International Mount Pleasant. They have erected a monument on the south side of the courthouse to honor the service during periods of war from all of our military since World War II to the present day at the time of the erection of the monument in 1991-92. Since that time, there have been some additional conflicts, and the club has gathered a consensus to enhance that and update it and make it more current to honor our veterans. Give you a little background. The Pilot International was founded in 1921. Our local club here in Mount Pleasant was chartered November 10th, 1983, over 40 years ago. Their mission statement is to serve by furthering Pilot International humanitarian efforts through charitable, educational, and research organizations and programs in communities throughout the world. This is a global organization made up of both adult and youth volunteers. One of the principal and primary endeavors that the group is currently undertaking is brain-related injuries, disabilities, and the education of the public and research and treatment through charitable contributions. We have in attendance today one of the representatives of our local chapter, Ms. Lydia Grimes, who will be coming up to say a few words about the Pilot International and their monument. But to bring the commission up to speed, we've done similar activities with the World War I monument, where we enhanced it to commemorate the 100th commemoration of America's involvement in World War I. We added the name of Harvey Munn to the World War I section of the Titus County War Memorial, and will, in a few days, it appears, we will be adding the names of Chauncey Mays and Clay Allen Craig to Panel 4 of the Titus County War Memorial. We received the stencils and the stone cutter is on notice, and that should be happening in the next few days. We also have placed the First Responders Memorial on the east side of the courthouse and have added names to that since its original placement. And this is a continuing effort not only to keep the court apprised of the changes and updates of what we're doing with the property, but also to give recognition to the people involved in making this possible. The Pilot International, especially Mount Pleasant, has worked closely with the Historical Commission and the Veteran Service Office to support our veterans over the past 40 years, and we'd like to give them special recognition. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Lydia Grimes to come forward and make a presentation on behalf of the pilot here of Mount Pleasant.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Good morning, Lydia. Thanks for coming over from the bank to talk to us about Pilot International and what you want to do here with your monuments.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. We are asking for consideration to add to the memorial Global War on Terror and Desert Storm, and that'll get us to the current stages right now.
Okay.
So that's what we're asking y'all
You
to
got
consider.
some names also at this time that you're asking to add, or just those?
Just those two.
Just those wars? Okay.
Just the wars. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Very good. We thank you. Is that a women's only organization?
It is a women's only organization.
Okay.
So it's lots of work and dedication, and right now our main focus is League of Dreams, which is our baseball game on Monday nights for the handicapped or disabled kids, and if you have not made it out, y'all need to come. It's an awesome time to watch those kids' faces light up out there having fun.
Yeah.
So.
Y'all are an active group. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate it. Steve, thanks for apprising us of this and for reviewing what they wanted to do. Anything else we need to know before we...
Well, just a note, the Pilot International Club himself is providing the funding to make these additional updates and changes, so they're not asking for any consideration from the Commissioner's Court financially. In addition to that, just for information purposes, the stone cutter, I'm told, is going to be available within the next week or two to make the upgrade to the War Memorial to add the names of Chauncey Mays and Clay Allen Craig. At that time, then working with the city to move the bricks that are at the bottom section of the War Memorial over to the bell tower so that they can be placed in a place of honor there. Tomorrow being Peace Officers Memorial Day, of course, courthouse flags will be at half-staff from sunrise to sunset. But the Historical Commission will be honoring our law enforcement locally. We'll be on the east side of the courthouse at the First Responders Memorial from 9 to 3. And we've invited law enforcement in Titus County and the area to have their own duty officers drive through the parking lot if they wish to pay tribute to the fallen officers here in this locale. We'll have a wreath on hand and indication of the loss that we've had, especially in the state of Texas. There's been 1,928 law enforcement officers lost in the line of duty, 106 Texas Rangers, 88 Texas Highway Patrol, 4 Department of Public Service Rangers, 65 Texas Department of Criminal Justice officers, 10 state police officers, 12 Texas Parks and Wildlife law enforcement officers, 2 Fish and Game Commission wardens, 15 canine officers. In Titus County alone, Theodore Alonzo Tedford, Dallas Mounted Police, end of watch 7/28/1912. Oliver Alexander Tedford, Dallas Police Department, 12/26/1927. Titus County Constable Edward Price, Precinct 8, 3/22/1933. Patrol Sergeant Charlie Jerry Shepard, Mount Pleasant Police Department, 7/17/1985. Constable Cleveland Drew Johnson Jr., Titus County Precinct 2, 8/28/2014. And most recently added our K-9 monument, Nitro, Winfield Police Department, 7/10/2009. That tribute be paid between 9 and 3. We will be offering a small token of appreciation to the officers that do pass through on behalf of Titus County residents in support of their service and dedication to the community. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for handling our flag half-mast situations also as they come up. All right, appreciate you both being here. All right, let's make a decision here on adding these additional wars and the eventual names to those that Lydia and Steve have told us about. Motion is made for approval by Commissioner Applewhite and second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you again. All right, let's move on to item number 6. This is Joan Newman, our county clerk's item to consider and possibly approve a contract for the Department of State Health Services Vital Statistics Unit Remote Site Contract. I think this is is this an annual deal?
It's
Every 2 years? Okay, every 2 years. All right. We've got documents here to sign and anything that we need to know about this other than just we're signing a routine contract?
No, it's just, this allows anyone in the county with a courtesy to be able to, if they were born in Texas, to be able to come to my office and we can pull that up. But the state requires that we sign a contract. Basically, it's a lot about confidentiality and that sort of thing.
Does this have to do with birth records, birth and marriage? What all does it, just birth certificates?
They're proposing that they will add death to that also.
Okay.
I don't believe marriage is going to be added.
Birth certificates, death certificates.
Birth and death, and that's going to be sometime in 2019. That's the proposed date. But
Okay.
this is a real convenience to people who live here that were possibly born like in Dallas County. They're trying to get our neighbor children work, and they're trying to get them to school or daycare. Play ball.
Okay.
Where would this remote be? I'm sorry, you probably said it and I didn't hear it. The remote side,
How do they access this information? They have to come to your office?
They have to come to my office. We have a separate computer for his house. It is basically really on the internet. And what we do is we log in remotely to the state computers, and this contract allows us access into it. We all have logins. It's always kept, all the documents and everything is kept under lock and key until we access them and actually sell them to the customer. We can charge the exact same price that we charge for the local records, which are the records that I have custody of for first.
So this just goes over what our obligations are for being able to access this data through the Department of State Health Services.
Yes.
All right. If you would like to approve this contract, as I hope you will, to enable us to continue to provide that service, I need your approval on this contract.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's made by Commissioner Applewhite to approve,
Second.
and second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approving this contract with the Department of State Health Services, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, I'll get this signed. All right, item number 7, consider and possibly approve a resolution for the sale of property. This is another one of these necessary approvals to sell a piece of property that had previously been strucken off of the tax roll, for which they now have an offer. This is lots 1A and 3A of Block 57 in the original town of Talco that was formerly in the name of G.M. Combs. Previously struck off the tax roll, and here's what Tim Taylor, that handles these for us, has to say. I have received 2 bids for the purchase of the above referenced tract of land, which had been previously struck off at a delinquent tax auction on April 4, 2017. Each bid is for less than the amount of the judgment, which led to the sheriff's sale to the county, and also less the listed appraised value, or less than the appraised value. J.L. Morgan has offered $2,000 for this property, and adjoining landowner Manuela Paredes has offered $2,500. The judgment amount was $7,728.58. The taxable value for this property is listed at $16,977, which included included a large value of $13,590 for a house which is now uninhabitable and needs to be torn down. So again, that $16,900 included a house which at one point might have been worth $13,590, but now it's not worth anything more than needing to be torn down because it's become a liability. This is 2 small city blocks located at 309 and 401 East Lyde in Talco, Texas. I recommend acceptance of one of these bids to place this property back on the tax rolls. I enclose documentation for consideration. I would request the court take some action on this offer, either by acceptance or rejection, and I've prepared a resolution should the county wish to accept. So again, 2 bids, pretty obvious, $2,000, and one is $2,500. If you want to accept either one of those.
Make a motion, we go with the highest bid.
Motion is made by Commissioner Fields to approve the sale on these 2 lots for the higher bid amount of $2,500 to Manuela Paredes.
Judge, can I add to that? And we offer it $2,500, and for some reason something comes up, he decides he doesn't want it to sell it to the second bidder.
That'd be fine. That's a good idea. Take care of it all at one. We we would prefer the $2,500 bid, but if for any reason that fell through, then we will approve in advance the sale at the $2,000 bid if necessary. Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor of approving this sale, say aye. Opposed? There are none. All right, I will sign this one. Number 8, consider and possibly approve hiring an electrician to move communication lines at the westbound way station. That's the way station on the north side for traffic heading west. Recently, there was some work done out there that involved pouring a slab under the larger building out there that is used by the DPS officers from time to time. So they moved this building. They poured a slab, they've moved the building back, and along with this comes some necessary wiring to be moved, and Mike Fields is going to tell us more about this. He has talked to an electrician to see what it would take to get this done for DPS.
Okay, Daniel Crooks called me a couple of weeks ago and was telling me what they would need to do. Now, they're going to run a 72-hour truck deal here in the near future. And the communication where they go in and punch stuff in and stuff, then goes to this office. This office, there'll be 3 or 4 different offices in there, and they'll be doing tickets, and they'll be doing this and doing that. They got to get all that communication. There are some lines over there now. We've got to just can't go in there and dig. We got to be careful what we're doing and stuff, so it doesn't have to be hand dug and these type of things. I talked to Ed. He said it would be somewhere right at 1,000, a little less probably than 1,000. But that's the quote he gave me. So after checking with the DPS and stuff, and I'm going to say it's going to be in the near future, next month or two, that they're going to run this 72-hour deal. There'll be 72 DPS officers working over there. There'll be 24 on the shift. There'll be 3 8-hour shifts, and they'll run for 3 days. And every truck going down that interstate will go through. It'll be checked for safety, and that's what we do need that. So the money is in the budget. We're going to have to move it around, but there is money to pay for that. So my recommendation is to do that. I'll make a motion to do that, get that fixed.
Does he think it'll be 1,000? Should we give him a little more latitude in case it was more than that, up to 1,500?
I think we were looking, we know we got 1,000, maybe 200 at the most.
It's going to be close at that.
It'll be close at 1,000.
Okay.
But, Ed's always pretty well, he's pretty close to it.
But if he does exceed it, rather than being locked in at 1,000, do you want to approve an expenditure up to 1,500 to ensure that that gets done, or rather than risk having to come back for approval? I don't know that necessarily needs court approval. If we can, just ask the commissioners for their individual approval if necessary. You want to leave it at 1,000?
Well, we can do that for 1,000, and then if it goes to 1,050 or something, we can ask.
We'd like to do it.
Yeah. You can make a motion to approve it up to $1,500, and that's what the court does. So if it runs more than $1,500, we'll bring it back and approve it. I'll
change my motion, make it into that up to $1,500.
Okay, motion's made by Commissioner Fields to approve hiring Ed Dotson to move and install communication lines at the westbound way station up to an amount of $1,500. Second is by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor of approving that expenditure, say aye.
Let me say this also. When they start weighing these trucks and stuff, they get on those radios, and they'll go down 127, they'll go 271, they'll go anywhere they can go. It's the way station. They're on the interstate. By the way, they're going to have DPS officers sitting on the roads. Any trucks come down, they stop them, and their manifest says they're supposed to be going here, and they're going to get those officials.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9. We talked a couple of weeks ago about our annual cleanup day and the cost and some of the problems that we had run into there. I told you I would get a cost for you together of what this most recent cleanup day cost us, which involved delivering, dumping, and then removing the large dumpsters that were placed in the various locations throughout the county. And that bill came in as we predicted. I think Christy told us somewhere around $30,000. It came in at $28,096.76. So that was the cost of what was involved in providing those dumpsters on cleanup day. So I wanted you to have that information there. And the second thing that I did, Carolyn spoke with personnel there at Republic to find out what are the differences between a county resident and a city resident as far as their ability to dump trash out at the landfill. If we wanted to just do away with the dumpsters and we wanted to send county residents out to the landfill. And as you can understand, city residents that already pay for trash services through their water bill are given some extra consideration. They can go up to 2 times, is that right, 2 times a year with a voucher that is provided or proof that they are a water bill customer, and they can dump at no charge 2 times a year. Since a county resident doesn't pay a city water bill, which pays for already their trash to go to the landfill, they are not given that ability. They don't have a water bill. So we spoke with Republic, and as you also can imagine, they can't quote us a price as to what it might cost if the county were to want to provide, say, 2 vouchers a year, and the county pick up that tab in lieu of a cleanup day. But just for your information, anybody, city or county, can go to the landfill and dump 1,000 pounds. Was it a ton or was it 1,000 pounds? A ton, 1 ton. They can take a 1 ton load of trash out there for a cost of approximately $30-something, $35, somewhere in that neighborhood. So a cost that's not insignificant for somebody that doesn't have, unlimited resources. So if you were to just tell them, hey, you can go out there anytime you want and dump your trash, you could expect to spend about this much money if you have 1,000 or 2,000 pounds worth of trash. So then the question would be, well, would the county be willing to pay for that, maybe during a certain time of the year when we would put emphasis on that? If that is something that you would like for me to pursue, $34.56 per ton. So if we wanted to make that option available year-round, if you wanted to make it available during a certain week of the year, we would have to figure out a way where we could provide those vouchers if the county were to want to pick up that expense, or we can just say, you know what, we're getting out of the trash business. If you all want to go to the landfill, bring your cash out there and bring your trash and expect to spend $35 to dump a 2,000-pound trailer load. So if there's any other information you want me to get, let me know, but they can't quote us a fixed price to provide unlimited trash services for our residents. They would have to have some kind of an idea. So that would be a way that I thought about doing it, is either instruct them to pay for their own trash dump, or the county could supplement or complement that expenditure and help out our residents either any time during the year or during a specified time. So I haven't set this up to do anything in particular, but if there's something that you would like to do, I've left you the option to take action on a possible option to our annual cleanup day, again, that costs you $28,000.
Plus tax.
Well, I believe the residents, that would be fine, but what's happened to these dumpsters is not residents. These are businesses like roofers. They've got that's what they're filling up these dumpsters with. This commercial stuff, and they're in town and they run out there and dump them. This one on 271, it was unbelievable. More than half of that stuff was commercial. Roofers, builders. It was insulation that would fill up a whole one thing, and that's what happened to us on the dumpsters. So I don't know if we could condense it or could control it enough to just make it residents. I don't know how to separate it. That's
So maybe the fact that we had a lot of roofers in town working on hail damage might have been a real part of the problem.
But that's been in other years also. I think that might have been before the hail damage, wasn't it?
Well, it's tough to I don't know. Was it before the hail damage? I don't remember. It's tough to monitor those particular locations. I don't know how you would control who uses those dumpsters other than just putting a sign out or putting the word out there. So, none of these are easy decisions. I don't know what the best decision would be in this particular case.
When we started this was the program that was needed. We had a lot of things, trash dump places where people put their trash, and of course we went through them, checked them, and I don't know if tickets that's been wrote on this. We find, in fact, we just wrote a ticket the other day out of my way, and Lynn came out there and caught the person and made them go pick it up. Plus, probably got a fine.
Yeah.
And this all was took care of very promptly. Philip called me. We made some calls and stuff because we wanted to go through the proper procedure. There's a guy that let me know about it, said, hey, this needs to be picked up. Dogs are going to get into it. Scattered all over the place. We started this several years ago, and it made a big difference. I'm telling you, it made a big difference. Our trash being thrown out on the roads and stuff like this just really went way back. You set up a lot of trash and us having to send hands to pick it up. And they get pretty wise to it. They know if they have a name in there, we get them, we're gonna name them. And they know that. So they're a lot more careful. Now they're not so much careful, they just throw it out anyway. The dumpsters was a great thing. I agree with Al, what he's talking about is, first of all, that's not commercial use. That's not the roof that's just there to shingles. They just don't want to pay the part that goes to the dump out there to dump their shingles. The goods and services that we provide to people, it gives them opportunity to do a spring cleaning. And we might, I don't know, maybe we just need to research it. I know Wood County runs a station over there, and they have it, it's their county place. And they run it, they have a person on site that's in the fence. What's killing us is, it's going to tell us what it's going to cost us to dispose of those tires. That's not on there. And we're going to have to take that, we got a contractor, we have to pay so much for each tire that's disposed of. Well, I'm finding out up in Winfield, a lot of that stuff is coming out of Franklin County. I go up there and I see these people and I know where they live. And they don't live in Titus County. So, and I say, you're not supposed to be using. Well, we started using it a couple of years ago. I said, in Titus County, have to pay for all this stuff off. Well, I won't do it. Well, they might pay on, I don't know. Tires, batteries, station set up, and I did this several years ago, it worked pretty good. We had signs for that. First year or two, it worked good. It said no batteries, no tires, no anything with Freon in it. These type of things. And I have them bring, anybody that has stuff like that, they could bring it to my shop. And I had a guy who was giving it to me, he had to pick it up, haul it off. He'd take it to the junk. What I'm trying to say is, through the years, it's really been successful, I think. And people, you can't go anywhere in March and say, hey, what are you going to put the dumpsters at? I want to do a spring cleaning. Once they find out, and that's what's killing the place out here, all that happens in 1 week. And we can do a better job coordinating with them and stuff. But we got to do something to stop abuse of the things. And I told people when this started, if you abuse this system, if you bring batteries, you bring low tires, you bring all this stuff up here, it'll be shut down in the future. We cannot take care of all that stuff. That should be your responsibility. We're just looking at household trash and things you want to clean up and these kind of things. Started out a great program. I think it's very successful. But right now, we got problems. It's making that out there where he's talking about was the biggest mess I've ever saw in my life. There was
1670
I did see that
doesn't
in
look too good either,
Courtroom.
Mike.
Ma'am?
County Road 1670 on the Braddock place don't look too good either if you want to drive by that.
Well, what we've been doing, and all the commissioners here have done this, is we get the prisoners, we put it down, and they go out and clean those roads up. And let me say this, the upside out here, they let us bring that stuff in there free. They don't charge us for picking stuff up off the road. So that's a plus there to help get the roads clean. But I don't know the solution. It may be where you can go get 2 vouchers, or you may want to put one station up somewhere for the month of March. We're going to run it, and you've got to come in there, and it's got to be inside the gates. can't have it where people can just pull up there and dump, because they'll put it on the ground. I know Wood County, I can do some checking how Wood County's doing theirs, but I know they have a person on the spot. You come in, your tires go there, or this goes there, or whatever. Main thing, don't even take it where you buy your tires. You should take it back there. I don't know, Judge. I know people like it now. I'm telling you, they really like it because it gives them a place to get rid of that stuff they didn't want to get rid of.
Could we afford to put a live person at each of those dump sites for 2 days?
I don't know if I do that. You might put one south and one north, just put two places with a fence around it where they can't go in there. And it'll be open from 6 to 6 or something like that. Or if you give them more than a week. $30,000, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of trash. And that would, you had to show some type of ID that you're a Titus County resident. That's, we're getting more and more people that's not Titus County residents with one problem.
Well, I certainly think you could provide a couple of vouchers a year if you ran it during a specific time and they had to call maybe my office to get one of those vouchers. You know, you could control it and force them to go out there. And then, of course, the landfill's not going to let them even take tires. Can you take tires out there?
They're not going to take tires, batteries, or any of that stuff. They'll be taking it back home. But they'll be there. And that might be the solution, voucher. I don't know. The people on the south side of the county, okay, because they're not that far. They'll drive a little distance. People in Argo, places like that's got to go all the way out there. That would be a disadvantage. You're not going to get everything solved, but I do know that people like that cleanup, and I like it too. It really helps keep the trash off the roads.
Well, I like the idea. Some of the people, I'm sure the other commissioners had the same call. And they're residents. I know them. I mean, we know who they are. Mr. Duncan, that's the guy we bought the property from, built a house at Harts Bluff to widen the road. You know, they look forward to the year doing it, and they have to haul it over to the dumpster. So hauling it to the trash would be a little bit more. So the 2 vouchers a year, I think, would be a good approach. I'd recommend that we do that, and how we set it up, where they have to pick up their vouchers. It would be
Just make everybody go to the landfill.
If you don't do the voucher system, the dumpsters need to be set up at either at the barn or at where y'all have a fenced, hold our fixing site somewhere and pay the overtime for personnel to be there. And then when it's, dark 30 minutes, when they go home, they lock the gate, nobody go in and dump whatever. And, have them watching, there's going to be times they're going to miss probably some batteries and some tires that go in, but they're going to catch the bulk of it, where you're not going to have, all these batteries you're having to deal with and all the tires.
you're going to have an employee or somebody
That's right. You're gonna have
to the cost of that, and to run
We're
it.
looking at,
And then there's a lot.
Somebody away from doing what they normally do during the week, and paying somebody overtime for that weekend if you leave it open during the weekend.
But you can do part-time on that. You can hire part-time for that.
You hire part-time personnel on that. And I think having them out there with a running load, because there's going to be stuff that these people came up there and they were already giving out loading on their trailer to begin with, and now that they're unloading, and then they try to pitch it, 8 feet up in the air to get it into one of those dumpsters. It's hard to throw like that out. And so those bags of trash, they may make it halfway up that trailer, but they don't even make it over the top.
It doesn't get over all the time, does it?
And then it ends up busting and it's everywhere.
Judge, instead of, I don't think it's something urgent we have to do. I'd like to wait till at least next time, give it to June, let him look at what we're looking at. And if I know he had a problem with that, we'll go big time. bring up the different, there may be somebody out there that has a better idea.
I live on 1,000, so I went by every day. It was.
Like a tornado come through there.
It was, I mean, we had trash over on the Kelby place, and then you had people going through it, which I'm sure that's with all the other places too, but 1,000, I was beside myself.
Yeah.
And I can't go that.
What I saw, 271 was bad, 1670 was bad, but that went 49 to 1,000. That was crazy. Okay?
You gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
No, you got more people. You got more people throwing trash out looking for stuff than you do people throwing in.
Edge tires.
Have we checked the IQ level?
The what?
Checked the IQ level of these people?
We can't even check the ID of these folks. Much less their IQs.
Well, I'm no longer in favor of just putting out open dumpsters for anybody to go by there anytime they want to and get stuck with the double problem of the cost and the mess that we've had before. Either we're going to devote some manpower, part-time or otherwise, to watch over these places during that week, or ship them all out to the landfill. You know, that to me is a pretty good solution, but I understand that folks in Argo are going to have a additional burden placed upon them. Maybe you do a combination of both. Maybe you put out only 2 dumpster locations that reduce the amount of manpower that's required to monitor those, and maybe you give everybody else a couple of vouchers a year.
We haven't talked about the cost. I guarantee you this year we had 3 men and a backhoe all day long, every day, packing this stuff and picking up trash for that whole week.
Was this a unique year, or has it been getting to be this way more and more?
It's been getting worse every year.
It's a gradual thing.
Y'all probably spent the money for manpower this year
Put yourself in
without having a fence around it. You probably spent more on it on employee salary and cleaning it up than if you put it back in one of the barns and had somebody there 8 hours a day at the beginning.
Okay.
But you're a sheriff and you think different. Take our average employee, the road hand, or whoever we take to put out a part-time. Those guys are getting pretty pushy, I'll tell you, they with that trash. And so you know how to handle that, but you're putting an inexperienced person and into that position. I think that would be a minus, a negative against that putting one with a fence around it. To me.
Even if you put a fence around it, they know that's where the dumpster is.
They're gonna throw it in.
Middle of the night, they'll just dump the stuff right outside the fence. Unless you're gonna be there 24 hours a day, that's what they did at the dumpsters.
I mean, whenever they got behind, on 1,000, the dumpster wasn't even there, and they went and unloaded it. That was the problem. Before the dumpster even showed up, so we're gonna have it on the side of the road.
Well, another argument in favor.
I have one road that I can guarantee you. Washers, air conditioning, because they know we're going to pick it up. I pick it up, and I take it to the dump. I'm not charged at all. We pick up the road, they let us come in there and dump that free of charge, because they know they're part of the problem too. The trucks going down to their stuff.
Probably coordinate with the private owners on those vouchers. All of the different people that have that.
Now, there's still quite a few on Wales.
That would help it be easier than running through your office.
You know, I don't know really how many total number of people would actually be taking advantage of that. I don't know.
A lot this time.
But that'd be a way that we can keep a handle on it. Just one more thing to discuss. We don't have to make a decision today. I just want you to be armed with that information.
Trash services, pretty much most of them they're going to dump out there at the landfill. Did they offer their customers a voucher system? Are they allowed the same, somebody who's with Tabor or one of these other companies,
Just the city has that option with the landfill. Okay. Well, if there's not any action item on that item, let's, we'll bump that to a future discussion time, but y'all have been armed with this information. You can be thinking about what do you think the best way to handle this would be. All right, item 10, approve oral and written reports. No action taken on that, Joyce, on item 9. Ready for a motion?
Make a motion.
Commissioner Riddle makes a motion. Commissioner Fields seconds. All those in favor of approving oral written reports, say aye. Aye. Item 11 is our treasurer's report for your consideration.
Make a motion that we approve the treasury report.
Motion made by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Riddle to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 12, budget amendments.
Got 4, Judge.
4 budget amendments.
Number 21, this is the line item changes inside the maintenance barn. Number 22 is just line item changes in the different departments, except I did move $9,700 out of contingency. 7,500 of that was for the loan in the auditor's office. $1,696 for the change in the mayor's salary a couple of months ago. $125 for the railroad station on our line of credit for above ground gas tanks that we still have. You have to put that's on that 123. And number 24 is just adjusting the amount of money that's being transferred out of there to cover the county attorney's fees. That's what that money's for. It's those pre-trial bonds.
For additional revenue.
Right.
All All right, those are the 4 budget amendments. All of you have seen these as evidenced by your prior signatures.
Make a motion.
Motion, Commissioner Applewhite, second, Commissioner Riddle. All in favor for approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 13, sign pay orders and approve payment of our bills.
Make a motion to pay your bills.
Motion by Commissioner Applewhite. Second, Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye. Item number 14, looking at item number 15, just we've got CAPS insurance. You see any activity out there in the hallway? We're going to go over our performance in our insurance plan here as soon as we're done, but anybody is welcome to join that. We'll take a 5-minute break after we entertain closing comments, and then we will adjourn after the update on our health insurance plan. Any closing comments at this time? I've got one. I want to be sure that you were aware of this, and hopefully you were already aware of this, that our annual Texas Commission on Jail Standards inspection was stellar, as it has been for many years. But just so you're aware, you know, Captain Fosdick had retired, and we had a new crew that was responsible during this inspection, and they did an outstanding job. Mike Garcia and David Price received the accolades this year. Of course, the entire Sheriff's Office does. But here is the official letter from Brandon Wood, the Executive Director with the Commission on Jail Standards. Dear Sheriff Ingram, the most recent inspection has demonstrated that your facility is in compliance with Texas minimum jail standards. Not a real flowery praise, but the evaluation itself that I was present for, that Jackie Benningfield went over with us, gave a lot of praise for our jail. Really top notch. I think there was one very minor item that was noted, but nothing whatsoever was important. She was very complimentary, so I wanted you to know about that. That's all I have. Commissioner Applewhite, anything?
Yeah, I got some requests that for Mr. Tosh's family, condolences to him and his family, the loss of his wife.
Didn't know about this. When did this happen?
She buried.
Can you talk closer?
Oh, yeah.
I can't hear a word you said.
By the Tosh family, Bobby Tosh, one of our employees, lost his wife last Monday. I think they buried her Friday morning.
How old was she?
She's 57 years old. That's
Bobby Tosh's wife.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Thank you. Anything else?
That'd be all.
Commissioner Fields? Commissioner Riddle?
Yeah, it's a slight problem. This is just for information. Somebody might know. If we have a water leak, just a commode gets hung up, we can't stop the water until the city, we have to call the city and get them to cut the water off. And I talked to Mike Ayers, and he said that that's the code. You have to have a cutoff. And I said, but he said the city was probably so old they didn't have one. But I think it would benefit us to pay for putting in a cutoff so that when we have a leak or need to work on a...
Like for the courthouse or at our
For the courthouse. Yeah, the annex is okay, I think. We don't have one for the courthouse. And I don't know, I was hoping, and I think that he's talked to you about it. Is there one? The plumber don't know, and he don't know of one. And does anybody know of one? I don't think. And Aaron said we might not have one. He said probably don't.
Let me go back and look, but I think there's a cutoff.
Okay.
It's not a matter of simply having a key to access the city's cover. It's more elaborate than that.
Yeah, we have to call them.
So if we had an immediate water pouring everywhere, nothing we could do about it.
We have to call them.
Okay. Yeah. If that's possible, it'd be good to have a cutoff. I'd sure like one in my home.
I'm not sure on this now. got those old mounts and stuff in there. It's got most of that on there, what we did when everything was remodeled and everything done. But I think we've got, and if anybody would know, it'd be Ernie. And I think we had one of those deals, just put that in there and turn all of it on.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where that's at. Let me see what I can find out.
Okay. We see Ernie comes and visits about once every 2 weeks over there. But if you can, we really need it. I think it would behoove us to.
Yeah, we need, you sure don't need a major line breaking this courthouse and can't cut it off. That'd be a lot of damage right there.
Yeah.
So you'll check with Ernie or see
I'll
if you
check
can find
with Ernie.
anything?
Judge, I have a question.
Yeah.
Our next Commissioner's Court is going to be the holiday, so.
It's on Friday. It's on Friday.
Friday, 25th.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding us of that. Because of the Monday holiday, we had voted to make Friday prior to Memorial Day our Commissioner's Court. So it's going to be a short period. It'll be next Friday.
That's the 25th.
Yes, sir.
25th?
Friday.
We'll have it on Friday.
I got an appointment I can't break on the 25th.
I don't know of anything significant that'll be on the agenda. If there is, I'll get with you and make sure you know what's on there. I'll try to have this thing posted early, but because of the short period, I'm going to have the agenda posted 72 hours, so it's got to be posted Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's got to be posted Tuesday morning. At this point, I don't even know, do we even have anything on that agenda yet?
Judge?
If he's ready. Yeah, Jacob Hatfield might be in attendance.
He's got other appointments somewhere else that Friday. He can't be here that Friday.
Right, I understand. That's what I'm
Nothing
saying.
major on it?
It's okay with me, yeah,
The only thing that I know of is if he's ready, Jacob Hatfield was going to address us about courthouse lighting alternative to the Christmas lights.
About the music. Never mind.
I'm with you there. Do we even have any music playing right now? Jacob had called me while I was in town and said the music's been turned down. I said, I don't know.
They had plenty of made the bid. They had plenty of music made the bid.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will postpone adjournment until after the United Healthcare and Higginbotham update. We'll take a 5-minute recess and reconvene here with CAPS Insurance, Higginbotham Insurance. All right, y'all ready? All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for meeting with us again, as you do, and for being patient while we ran over what I guessed would be 10 o'clock today. Chris, you going to start the conversation, or Steve, or Tony, or?
So, thank you for allowing me to come up today and present to y'all. I really do appreciate it. Apologies. Actually, I brought you 2 new reports today. And the first one is called a Plan Performance and Analytic Report that actually is a really nice report because it gives you financials, but it's also looking at the conditions of your population. So it's drilling down as to what was driving the cost. So this is for 2017. And then the second report I have is a new report as well, and it is our plan activity report. And it's a new report for 2018, and what I did was I brought your first quarter of 2018 so we can look at financially how is everything running. So if you'll turn to the first tab, the Plan Performance and Analytic Review tab. Again, I just want to point out the time frame for this report is for all of 2017. And it includes, so it captures all of the population, even the retirees that were covered on the plan or are covered on the plan. It's encompassing all of their costs as well. And throughout this report, you're going to see terminology of comparison of peers. It's not municipality peers, unfortunately, but it is peers based on your size group. So it took the UMR normative book of business and looked at groups that had 500 lives covered or less. So that's what's considered your peer population when we're looking at that column. So if you'll turn to page 3, as you can see, you've been a long-term customer with UMR. We do appreciate that. So you have 5 years of history with us, and this page is looking at your trend. How has Titus County trended over the last 5 years? And unfortunately, you trended really high in 2017. We had a lot of expenses. We had a lot of high-cost claimants for 2017. And your paid per member per month trended upwards as well over the years. So you can see on the measurement table down below, looking at your high-cost claimants from 13 to 17. And the high-cost claimant dollar threshold is $25,000 or above. So for 2017, we saw that the county had 19 high-cost claimants. That was the highest you had in the 5 years that you've been with UMR. Page 4, we're now looking at your enrollment and demographic summary. And really nothing, now this is doing just a 2-year comparison, and really nothing changed majorly in the enrollment. The enrollment itself dropped slightly, the membership population by 3%, but your population demographics stayed fairly consistent. Your maternity age, so these are your female populations for maternity. The reason why we brought that out is because, you have babies on the plan. You want to make sure moms are healthy, going full term versus having a premature baby. And then on the bottom of that population percentage, looking at your plus 65s. So from 16 to 17, your plus 65s on the plan, whether they were retiree, because your plan does retire retirees, or even active and still working over 65. That's a cumulative. It actually dropped from 4.3% to 3.2% for 17. Your average age of your employees is 45. The average age of your all members, meaning your dependents, spouses, and dependent children, the average age is 40. Page 5, now we're looking at your plan payment summary. So this is a snapshot. Now this gives you 3 years. So at the top box, you're looking at total dollars paid. So you can see in 2017, medical billed dollars for the entire year was a little over $5 million. That's the highest amount that we have, as you can see, from 15 to 16. You had 1.7 million of that dollars that were ineligible. These are a combination of duplicate charges that were submitted, claims that were submitted that were not covered under the plan. So these were removed from the $5 million bill, to leaving the medical covered at $3.4 million. 1.7 million was the discount of the network. So you reduce the 3.4 million of covered by the discount, leaving the plan at $1.7 million. Out of pocket, or OOP stands for out of pocket. So this is where the memberships share in the plan. So this is folks who use the plan that had deductibles and out of pockets and co-pays that were paid. That was $198,000. There was a few folks that are on the plan that actually their primary insurance, so these are dependents. COE stands for Coordination of Benefits. So you had $2,600 that was reduced from the plan, leaving the plan paying, so Titus County paying $1.5 million in medical expenses for 2017. Your pharmacy went up slightly as well, and we'll talk about that further down, further pages as to why. When I came out last year in the fall, we talked about your pharmacy spend you had some increase in that, and so for 2018, you made some, what we hope, and I feel you'll see, some really good moves in your pharmacy plan that help offset that cost. Leaving, so for the medical and the pharmacy pay for 2017 was $1.9 million, up from 2016 where it was $1.6 million. Yes, that was before stop loss reimbursements as well. So this is just true dollars paid, nothing paid back. None of these reports will show any of the stop loss reimbursements that were made on your high cost plans. Any questions?
Anywhere in here, will it give us an idea of the high-cost claimants? What was the nature of their issues?
Yep, and a couple more pages. Absolutely. So on page 6, now we're looking at where was the spend? Was it our employees that were causing the spend? Was it the spouses that are covered, or was it the children? And for 2017, you'll actually see and the top box, I really like this box here. I pointed out on the demographic page that we identified plus 65, and then this page now is showing you under 65 and over 65. Unfortunately, the statement is as we get older, we incur more expenses. And so what we're trying to do here is identify an age bracket where are the primary expenses coming in. And actually, your plus 65, you did not have a lot of expenses this year or for 17. The expenses came from two things, under 65 and your employees. Because if you looked at the table down at the bottom, where it says claiming payments by relationship, if you'll look over to the far right where it says change, all of the first section, the first 3 lines are all in red. This means these were your employee population. So medical pay increased by 125% from 16 to 17 on your employees. Your pharmacy pay increased by 35% in 2017 for your employee spend. But your spousal spend actually dropped from the previous year. And your children's spend, with the exception of pharmacy, also dropped. Page 17 starts talking about your high-cost plans. So what page 7. What we're looking at here is how many, and again, the threshold is for $25,000 and above.
Can you go back and explain that?
The graph?
On the bottom right.
So, yes. So what this graph is showing you is, and it's hard to, the colors are so very close, but basically what it's showing you here is for 2017, so PY is prior year, so that's 2016, and then CY is current year, which is 2017. And the population is showing that of your total population, 64% were employees in 16, 66% or 66% was the total population in 17. Of that total population that were employees for 17, 84% of that plan cost was the employees that were causing the cost. Where 16% was your spouses, they only incurred 13% of the, remember I said you had a $1.9 million of medical and RX spend? Of that $1.9 million, 84% of that was spent by employees. 13 of that $1.9 million was your spousal cost, and 4% of that was children.
So last year, our spouses was where we got hurt, whereas this year, we're more aligned with our head count and total expenditures in each of these categories.
Correct. Yep.
So we can no longer say, oh, it's our spouses that are, or our dependents that are killing us, at
For
least
17.
not in 17.
Right. Yep.
Whereas last year, that was the case.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Page 7, we're now looking at your high-cost plans, paid dollars. This is medical and pharmacy combined. And as you can see, in 2016, you had 8 high-cost claimants, but for 2017, you had 9. And if you 19, sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my eyes today. 19, thank you. But I think the biggest thing is if you look at line below, total paid, now this is an average of the high-cost claimants, of 8 of them, you had almost $900,000. But for 2017, of your 1.9 million spend, 1.3 million of that was on your high-cost claimants. Now, page 8 this is where you're getting your details of your high-cost claimants. Here, I got my notes written down. So, page 8, now you're looking at your high-cost claimants. You haven't seen this report before, and this report is actually new for your size group, which I so appreciated our reporting team lowering the head count to be able to bring this out to you, because I think it contains a lot of really, really good data. So this report has many good columns. One of the first columns that I will point out is that on the far left, you'll see numbers. So you had 25 high-cost claimants that incurred, now this one, because you didn't truly have 25 that incurred $25,000 or more, you had 19. But we went down to the top 25. So if you bear with me, if you'll see, first 19 people listed here, they incurred $25,000 or more in high costs for 2017. And their total paid charge is the current year CY total pay. Those 20 through 25, we just added them in just to fill up the page to show your top 25 claimants. The next column, medical ranks. So this is a really good column. How did they rank for the previous year? You had 8 and 16. Well, your first 8 people, they were your high-cost claimants in 16 as well.
Literally the same people, not the same sickness, but the same people.
Right. So you can see 1 through 8 were still the same in 16 as it were in 17. Then you start seeing, and then where you see a greater than 99, that means that their dollars spent were on the pharmacy side, not the medical. And you can come over to the column that's in blue, and that's your paid pharmacy dollars. Of these top 25, 21 of them are employees, 1 is a child, and 3 are spouses.
Say that one more time.
Of the top 25, of these 25 listed on this page, 21 of these are employees, 3 are spouses, 1 is a child. There are 5 people termed, and what I don't know is, have they elected COBRA? Because if they had elected COBRA, they would show as COBRA. They could be in their COBRA election stage, or they didn't elect COBRA at all. Another good column. Nobody. Okay. So Christy just confirmed none of these terminations was COBRA election. So they've already exceeded their COBRA election, which, not to be negative about it, but that for the plaintiff's sake, that's a good thing that they did, especially your claimant number 1 and claimant number 9. If they elected COBRA, then they would be paying the premiums, but you would still be picking up the
Those 2
land.
people are not in our insurance program anymore.
Right, for 2018, or whenever they turned, they're not in their election, they're not in COBRA, right. The 2 other columns that I really pay a lot of attention to is the admits over on the right-hand side. So you can see the conditions, but there's a column that says admits and then in parentheses days. This would show you how many days how many admissions to the hospital they had, and then how many days were they in that hospital. So, like, for example, Number one, they were admitted one time, they spent 9 days in the hospital, and then the next column shows how many ER visits they had. And what I look for in this column on the ER visits is there a trend of using the emergency room unnecessarily for what we consider non-emergent visits. We've had that discussion and made some plan design changes to help offset that cost too. So you don't see a lot of what I consider abuse in the emergency room for 2017 even.
That's what you conclude when you look at these numbers?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
What would be the decent number?
It could be all over the place. And if you'll turn, well, it's further back. I'll explain what helps support if I saw an abuse or not. There, in about 4 pages back, there'll be some more details on emergency room visits and urgent care costs. So page 9 kind of goes hand in hand with page 8. Now, here we're predicting what will be or could be the potential for ongoing costs for 2018. And you do have the potential for some costs. You've got number 5, who is lung cancer. What's here that I didn't see was on that first column or second column where it says care management activity. What we like to see here is both a UM and a CM beside it, especially where there's cancers. What that is UM is they've had services that require utilization management. If they were admitted to the hospital, or you have a criteria of what is listed that requires utilization or care management, and so anyone who needed to have utilization management had it. So not everybody needed it, but they had, the ones that did, they used it, because they're all uppercase, meaning that they did call in and get their utilization. CM is care management or case management, meaning that a nurse was assigned to that patient, that doctor, and the family, and we were helping them manage that condition. If it was uppercase, they were engaged in case management. You do have several that are lowercase. Well, you have one. Number 4, they have a lowercase case management. So we reached out, they did not engage in case management, but we're still watching them. We're still watching their treatment. If we see where they're maybe going out of network for services, we're going to contact the doctor and we're going to reach out again. But if they if they don't return our calls or refuse to engage with the nurse, we can't force them. Your plan doesn't require a force of use of the case management. If I saw where there was no case management, I would make some recommendations of requirements. But I'm not seeing that. Most people are engaged with a few. So what we're going to do is look at this again when I come back out in the fall with your renewal plan, design recommendations, when I'm working with Tony and Steve. This will be something that we concentrate on as well, because I'm able to drill down into this area with your plan and make some recommendations on enhancing case management further. Okay? Page 10, now we're looking at the key indicator page. So what are we looking at? We're looking at, of our inpatient admissions, did our costs go up? And actually from 16 to 17, in 17 the cost actually did not go up. So you had, now these are per 1,000, but you had less admissions, and those that were admitted stayed less time. So even though you had a lot of high cost claimants, they weren't all admitted in the hospital. So they stayed less, and their admission cost was dramatically lower than it was in 16, by 58%. And the really good news is you had no readmission rates, or no readmissions. So that's a positive, and the reason why is if someone is in the hospital and then they get released and they have to go back to the hospital, it could be several things. It could be that they contacted or got an infection, sepsis, or something to that effect, or they didn't adhere to their treatment plan and ended up getting readmitted. And that's where case management is so critical. Because what case management does is if I'm admitted, when I come home, the nurse is going to check in with the patient and say, did you get your prescriptions filled? Do you have a ride to your therapy or back to your doctor for a follow-up treatment? Do you have family support? And then they're going to reach out to the physician and let them know, hey, your patient doesn't have the ability to get a ride to your office or to therapy if that's where they need to go. And alert the physician to that, so that if maybe home health care needed to be called in, instead of them trying to find somebody to take them somewhere, we go to them for the treatment, but making sure that patient gets their treatment. That's why case management is critical. The next section I really like is where it says ER and urgent care. You can see that your ER utilization actually dropped by 16%. Those that went to the ER, 9% of those actually were true ER because they got admitted to the hospital. So that was the right course of action, was going to the ER first, because from there they were admitted to the hospital. What I also like is the next line down, and that is we are able to identify what we call non-emergent, and it's based on the diagnosis of the claim when it's billed on the, and sent to UOR. So you can see that it actually dropped, and again, but 32% of the emergency room claims that were received were still considered non-emergent. So keep in mind, in 2017, you had put in place, I wrote it down, you had put in place the true emergency and non-emergency cost differential on your plan. So the employees that did go to the emergency room and used it for non-emergent services had to pay their deductible and co-insurance. And that's what we wanted to have happen, was for them to pay that so that they would learn to keep, when to use the emergency room appropriately and when not to. And I truly believe that's why that spend went down as well.
But you haven't compared us to any of these peers yet. And I'm just looking at ER visits per 1,000. Gosh, we're just so far out of line with peers. But yet the other stats there, we look about in line.
Yes. And I would say there's a couple of factors that might be to that. If you look down, the next line below is urgent care. And for a while in this area, you didn't have urgent care services. So people were using the emergency room. You added teledoc, which was good. And in our 2018 report, I'm going to jump ahead, because we have the same report on the new one that I'm sending you. And you actually are staying about the same for 2018 for the first quarter on your emergency care.
So Chris, can I just ask this?
Yes.
Since there's 0 visits, that's correct, in 2017 to urgent care?
Yes.
Does that mean that people are doing the emergency room instead of urgent care?
Well, or the urgent care facilities that are here are maybe recontracted and they're now considered office visits. Do you have CVS here and Walgreens? So CVS and Walgreens have, those clinics inside their facilities, and if people use those in addition to the urgent care facilities you have, they actually, when they bill, their contract within the United Healthcare contract is deemed an office visit. So it's not an urgent care. So you can see that your office visits actually increased. So I think that, and I'm not 100% sure yet, and unfortunately, I've got to go write down all these urgent care names that are in the area so I can go look at how
And we
they're
are actually getting a new urgent care center here.
Okay.
It's going to be what, primary care? Healthcare Express.
Okay.
And that might change some of this.
What I'll do is I'll work with Jessica to get the names of the facilities that are around here that are deemed urgent care, and I'm going to go back and double check how they're contracted. So, I mean, this was alarming to see that there were no urgent care.
Do we even have
utilizations.
any urgent care here in town?
Yeah, a couple years now.
Inside of some of but the hospital one, I bet you anything they're billing that.
dozen offices. Yes.
I bet they are.
It could be how they're contracted, so that's what I want to get that information for you. Because I do want to follow this, because again, we've worked very hard for your urgent care to try and make people realize you should only go to the emergency room when it's appropriate, when it really needs to be there versus all the other opportunities you have. I'm still looking at that for you.
So roughly a third of ours that went to the emergency room turned out not to be an emergency.
Right. Yep. I don't know if you've read, if you get the paper out of Dallas, the Dallas Morning News, but Friday, Blue Cross was in the paper in the business section because the Blue Cross plans, the HMO plans they offer, they have removed, there will be no coverage at all for non-emergent care if you go to the emergency room. So if you go there to use it as a doctor's office or an urgent care facility and you're in their Blue Cross HMO plans, they will not pay that bill. You will pay it. And generally, if it's an emergency, if it's not emergent, the claim, the cost is sometimes higher than what a true emergency can be. That's huge. So I've got to keep an eye, I'm keeping an eye on this. And at the bottom of the page, one of the really big expenses that was 937% increase from 16 to 17, injectable drugs that are paid under your medical plan. You had a lot of cancers in 17, and these cancers being treated differently now. It's injection forms, infusions done at home, it's pill form. That's what the expense is. Looking at page 11, this is going to tie back to what I was saying, Tony, is now this is where we look at why did they go to the emergency room? And the top 5 diagnoses, these were the primary diagnoses for the emergency room utilization, with the exception of number 5, for the most part, and number 3, kind of, depending if they have a high fever or something. For the most part, the 3 of the 5 conditions were deemed true emergency. Really, that was a good use of their time. But what I really like about this is we're identifying the conditions. We're also identifying what dollars were spent in the emergency room. And then over on the lower right-hand side, we are now identifying what emergency room facilities are they using. So Titus Regional was the first one, the biggest expense. ETMC Pittsburgh, the Good Shepherd Medical Center, Christus Medical Acute, and then somebody was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and used Medical City Dallas. These are all hospital-based emergency rooms, but I can tell you that those are actually cheaper than using those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You see a lot of those urgent/ER centers pop up because they can't shift their overhead cost within the hospital. Those facilities cost almost 3 times, actually more than 3 times, than going to the emergency room at the hospital. So I'm seeing on average, when you go to one of those standalone emergency centers, at about a $7,000 expense to go to the emergency room versus the ER where it's a couple thousand. I mean, they're keeping their doors open 24 hours a day. They have to have so many doctors on staff, so many nurses on staff. They have to have admitted, people up front. And when you walk in those doors, you are helping to fund all of that expense that they have. Where a hospital ER, they have everything else within the hospital. I mean, if you went to a freestanding ER and you really needed to be admitted to the hospital, they're going to call an ambulance, and there you've got that expense. Plus, you're going to the hospital ER to be assessed again before you're even admitted.
So when this new urgent care comes on board, we don't need to be promoting that.
If it's just urgent care, yes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the name of that. I'm going to find out how they are contracted. typical, it's going to be awesome because, I mean,
You're in and out. You just,
well,
It's going to be good for us?
yes, if it's just urgent, yes. But if it's partly emergency, she was shopping around for an MRI last year, and she compared Mount Pleasant to Paris to the Healthcare Express in Texarkana, and that's where she went to go get her MRI, because it was a fraction of the cost of here for Paris.
An MRI in one of these facilities?
The one in Texarkana had an MRI machine. But I use the same one in Atlanta. I mean, it's great. If it's after hours and it's Friday and you're about to go on vacation and you get sick, you're in and out, and it's about $100. And something that we could use during open enrollment, Tony, is on page 10. You can see what the average pay for the ER was about $2,200. And the average office visit is $77. This is a strong visual, in my opinion, to show employees, hey, this is really the cost. This is what the plan paid for you to use the emergency room, but on average, when you went to your doctor, yeah, you had a copay, but the plan still paid about $77 for everybody enrolled to see their doctor. So that speaks volumes. And then I would even add Teladoc on there and just say, you know, Teladoc is costing you nothing, but it's an average, it's $45. And just let them see where the cost differential is, and hopefully that they understand the impact to the plan as well. Skipping to page 12, now we're looking at your network performance. And it's by staying in network, and then also what was your average discount. So the United Healthcare average discount did drop slightly from the previous year. It was 55 to 53%. It was a combination of there's higher out-of-network utilization, but of that discount, really, I was going to say you had some lengthy stays, but you really didn't. 9 days. Generally what that means is someone was in the hospital a little longer, and so the hospital's contract reverted from a percentage of discount to a per diem, which means a per day cost, which generally when you get into a per day cost is slightly higher than the percentage of discount. So, but you were still averaging, 53%, almost 54% in your discounts for the United Healthcare Network. We did have some out-of-network utilization where we were able to, so CRS is what we call our silent networks, and those are the secondary networks that are used. So if someone's goes to an out-of-network facility provider, if they are in one of those primary silent networks we use, so we were able to achieve a 35% discount to the plan. Now this exclude line, my apologies, our reporting people didn't come to us when they were designing this report, and these are not excluded charges. These are actually charges that are covered under your plan. It's a combination of coordination of benefits, so secondary insurance, but the other exclusion is actually your ancillary. That's where your ancillary services, such as your durable medical equipment, prosthetics, some high dollar prescriptions fall in that ancillary service depending on where they get them at. So you achieved a 52% discount on those services, and then you still had for 2017, $102,000 of true out-of-network spend where they were not contracted with any of the networks we offered. Page 13 is we're looking at your preventative.
Okay,
wellness.
go back on that one.
Yes.
That last statement you made, we still got some people going out of network that are not in our plan. And so who's the big loser there, the county?
Yes. Yes.
They have their out of pocket too.
They do have more out of pocket, but
County's very, obviously, it's one person.
it was a couple of people. There were a couple of people that truly used out-of-network services.
Would
network cost them, what, 10,000 or something like that? 10, 12,000? What did it cost them to be out of network?
In 2017.
Max, not about the max for an individual.
Yeah, individual was, if they were on the base plan, it was 12,000. If they were on the buyout plan, it was 6,000. So that was their maximum out-of-pocket expense by using a true out-of-network doctor.
As opposed to if they'd been in network, it was how much?
In network, the out-of-pocket maximum was $66.50 on the base plan and $4,000 on the buyout plan.
And let me just interject, in 2017, you actually had nobody that was not on the technology. Everybody was on buyout.
Okay.
Because there was no cost difference.
Okay. Oh, okay. So the most these folks spent was $6,000 and paid out $102,000.
But that doesn't mean it costs us $102,000 more than it would have the other way. You don't know what the difference between what.
Right.
It spent, the pay was $75,000, so you can't let people.
Yeah.
You're saving $37,000.
This should say your average discount is 50% if they stayed in there. Yeah. Page 13 is looking at your preventative services. I'm kind of perplexed on the screenings for the mammogram, the cervical cancer. Colorectal cancer, I'm not so much because those are usually once every 5 years. But the mammograms and the cervical cancer screenings, dropped off where your average membership age was 40. So generally you have mammograms once a year. And these are looking at a full 12 months. So I'm a little perplexed as to why the mammograms dropped about 32%.
We still have the mobile unit available, didn't we?
So it's, I think if they got pushed back to December, even though the mammograms and the bus came out later than the end of the year, that would still be in the current year, or did it go into the current next year?
It could be as to when they filled it. I mean, this is just looking at paid dollars.
But you went paid through March of 18?
No, this doesn't have, this, unfortunately, I think this has run out of it, Tony.
I thought I saw that.
Because I know.
Oh, it does. You're right, Chrissy. This should be encompassed all of that. Yep, it does. It sure does run out. Yeah, paid through March. Yeah. So it should have included anyone who had one in December, but they didn't submit the bill.
I know that the bus came toward December, they had to do it later, so I didn't know. Maybe that's why they.
No, this should capture those. Thank you, Tony.
It's going to be where they're just not coded right in the doctor's offices.
Well, I mean, but that you just go, it's wellness.
Yeah.
And that's a lot not to be coded.
I remember you telling me when we were doing all the physicals, a lot of times those physicals were not being coded right.
You'll see that.
Maybe more for like a routine physical where there's nothing there, but a mammogram is typically,
Separately from health offices.
You might have one or two that they find a spot and will code it as a medical condition, but to have 32% drop. So hopefully, I don't think this report.
But we require them all to do the medical, they get charged, so.
The thing is, that the court needs to decide is, if you go get your eyes checked, then that counts. So rather than me go to the inconvenience of having a mammogram, for some people, hey, they accepted my eye exam, so I don't have to worry about anything else.
Oh, so you're saying you could have one thing, and it could be an eye exam?
Yes, okay, as long as you had the way it's set out, as long as you had a wellness exam, it could be just get your eyes checked and that.
What?
Yeah, that's the way it's set up. Now, I'm gonna go have all my tests done, but, you may have somebody that doesn't wanna go, they have patch hair or mammogram or whatever.
That kind of defeats our purpose then.
Right.
How do we
So
close
the
that
board
loop?
needs to get with the, UMR and Chris, and I don't know if it's possible to say, hey, you need to have this, and this done.
posted monthly that says other wellness services, and if they have an mammogram or a cervical pap smear, it is listed as such, and it will tell you who it was.
So the court will have to say, do we accept the eye exam as wellness, or do we make?
We talked about bringing a wellness consultant from Higginbotham last year, I believe, and I really do think that maybe in the summer meeting, we bring her and we have her actually set up an airtight wellness plan that meets GINA requirements. Would you say? GINA is the federal law that controls wellness plans. That's the little acronym. I don't know what that stands for. Do you? No. Okay. But she is a lawyer as well as a registered dietitian as well as a wellness consultant. And what she does is she looks at everything and sets it up so that you are not asking anybody to do anything that is not legal, basically. And I do think that that's something that we need to talk about and implement in January, and she can address this. So I tell you, but I do know that there is one thing that you need to start doing, and that is having it offered to people, and they either opt in or they opt out. Where you give them the choice of, if they opt out, then they have the difference in their pay, they know that.
We already do that.
Premium difference.
Yeah, but I just want it to be a little bit more legal.
Well, yeah, we might need that.
Yeah.
But we have a deal where my office is supposed to be practicing. They don't have that exam. We bump up.
But right now, it's just open to anything. It's not like if Christine have her mammogram, then she's going to be charged. We don't have it like that.
The way I know we had to have a business.
The way you have it is you have it by what the doctor considers appropriate for your age, which,
Yeah. I mean, you don't go to your medical doctor to get none. So I don't know how, I mean, I don't know what they're calling this stuff. We're supposed to be getting it from y'all, that they went to the doctor and had the physical done. The doctor has to call them.
They also bring it to us.
Check your eyes and just say,
Sign on the doctor.
healthy.
Also.
Why would we do that?
We've got a strong, that's what they're saying.
I think it's because of our time, by the time we wait to get it processed or whatever.
and a lot of people waited to be.
They wait till the end of
December, and the claim wouldn't have been filed or paid, and Christie then wanted it by the end of
And we
December.
have staff that can sit there and make sure that.
No. It was never brought to my attention that we had a whole bunch of people waiting until the end of December.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
because it's a courtesy, again, that Sharon will look at that list and get with all the departments and say, hey, you haven't got it, you need to come on. And then they cry, oh, I didn't know, well, open enrollment, we've been doing this for a while, y'all know, in a year's time to get it done.
Well, to Tony's point, bringing clarity for wellness and setting up a legit wellness plan, you can put deadlines on when things have to be done by. For us, we have to have everything done by November in order to qualify for a premium differential the following year.
But again, some of those says like a mammogram, you can't have until the next year, so I don't know how you could do that.
Well, you could do it because you could do it as instead of once every 12 months, you do it in the calendar year time period. That negates the having to wait that full 12 months.
Which is just a code.
So if you had a mammogram in November of 17, you don't have to wait till November of 18 to get it done. As long as you do it in 18, and to Jessica's point, set a time frame, you guys are more lenient. I have to have all mine done by 9/1. So our company is 9/1 is when you have to have all your services done to get that premium differential for 1/19.
Doctor will let you do that?
Well, our benefits set up that way. Yeah, I mean, I just went and had my wellness exam, and my doctor said, you're 3 weeks ahead of when you came last year. And I said, absolutely. But mine runs on a calendar year, so it runs from January to December. Right. Yep. And that is, doctor's offices also will ask that question, but, you know, if we can help educate the employees, put it in the benefit guide that it's a calendar year benefit. And we'll make sure when the doctor calls in that the benefit is stated as such. We could definitely do that, so that they do get those physicals and they know to get them by a certain time frame.
We gotta do that.
I think, and I just want to say that, because I know when we started it, they were doing that. It was like there wasn't, like, we had some of their blood pressure. I've seen some of the employees come in like that. So it might have gotten better over the years. Like the sheriff's kind of taken over 100% of it, so.
So I'll get back and look at the benefit, see if it's every 12 months or if it's a calendar year. We can always make that benefit design change. That's not a big deal. That's easy to
We can
administer.
define this a little more accurately as what it is.
Right, yep. So that's something we'll bring back as recommendations for y'all as well. Hopefully to increase that number for sure. All right. Page 14. These next couple of pages are really, really good because now we're getting into, okay, of all the dollars that were spent, what type of conditions are we looking at? And so this is our top 10 major diagnostic categories. So based on the conditions, based on the claims we received, your top condition for all of 2017 was musculoskeletal, meaning that you had, lower back pain, arthritis, knees, hips, joints, osteoarthritis. So that all falls in that category. And again, if you look under there where that column where it describes that name, you can see prior year, musculoskeletal was actually the number 6 major diagnostic category. Now it's number 1. Neoplasm, so cancers was your second one. Last year in 16, that was number 19. Circulatory, this is good, it went down. And this is related to, it could be obesity, it could be hypertension, it could be heart conditions. So that actually dropped. It was number 2, it's now number 3. Health status, still in the top 5. I always like to have that one there, because again, even though we saw a drop in the mammograms and pap smears, wellness, those with conditions, the lifelong conditions, diabetes, asthma, they're maintaining their condition. Now, it did drop from 4 and 5, but it's still in the top 5 categories. And then your others are digestive, respiratory, ear, nose, and throat, blood, and kidney.
Your number 1 last year isn't even on the list?
No.
What was number 1 last year?
I don't know because this report wasn't available to pull and provide last year. But I can go back and ask that question if you want to know that for sure.
That's kind of strange.
Yeah, absolutely.
Varies from year to year.
How can we be so far out of line with the UMR norm? Is it just our numbers? I mean, our low number of employees, and they're talking about a huge pool?
I mean, on a Google Mark book of business, you're looking at 3 million members compared to what you have in your membership population. So it is going to be skewed slightly. But your ranking of musculoskeletal being number 1, that's Google Mark's number 1 on our book of business.
Circulatory's number 2.
Right.
3.
It's just dollars spent is different. It's higher on paid patients.
Crazily higher.
Now, the good news, I'm thinking positive. We put Real Appeal in. It has had, we came up here, a couple months ago, Tony and I sat here, and we had very, very positive feedback from the employees that came in and just stopped in to thank us for offering it. We had probably, 8 or 9?
I think we had 9 people sign up and 1 didn't meet the criteria, so
Right.
she couldn't do it, which was a 50% increase as we had like 10 people on it. So, anyway.
So I think that word of mouth is getting out. I tell you, Carolyn has been a great proponent of it. She came in and was just speaking volumes to Real. So I appreciate that y'all offered that to the employees, and we are hearing positive feedback on it. So that's going to help musculoskeletal in that you lose weight, your joints don't hurt as much. Circulatory, that'll keep your heart conditions, and high blood pressure down. And cancer, unfortunately, is cancer. But I did just read an article where obesity is attributed to 9 types of different cancers. So
Especially breast cancer.
yes, breast and cervical are 1 and 2 when you're obese. Page 15, your care management. Now again, this is where care management comes into play. The 2 categories you have the utilization management, meaning that folks needed to have whatever types of services were prior authorized. And my apologies, I will bring you a list of what is that requirement that you have. And if we have any recommendations of where you should maybe add another prior authorization or take away something that doesn't need to be on the list, we'll have that recommendation for you. But of those that needed to be in utilization management, there were 13 members that all 13 were managed. We authorized 18 services were authorized. And you did have a savings of $3,900. That savings could be attributed to someone was discharged from the hospital a day early. Someone was discharged from the hospital instead of going to inpatient rehab. We recommended that they do outpatient rehab because we found out they had support to be able to be taken to rehab. And anytime we can find ways to save money, not just for the member, but for the plan, that's what utilization management is going to look at. So you had 9 inpatient services, you had 8 that were required for outpatient for prior authorization, and you had 1 home care, whether it be skilled nursing or home health care that was prior. And then on your case management activity, these numbers, this is where we wish we had more. So we identified 4 members that could have been in case management, only 1 accepted it. But we did achieve a $12,000, almost $13,000 savings by them being in case management. And the savings was attributed to directing them in network, assisting with finding a network provider, having the doctor talk to someone about the type of prescriptions needed, things like that. So that's where case management is a helpful tool. Page 16, this is looking at your prescription drugs. So now keep in mind, this is for 2017. Your total prescriptions did actually decrease in how many were prescribed, but those that were prescribed were very costly because your prescription cost went up 14% from 16 to 17. And if you look down at the top 10 drug therapeutic classes, so this kind of lines up to what your major diagnostic categories are. Musculoskeletal and Duexis is that multi-source drug. That's the one that was costing the plan $2,200 per script, and it was an anti-inflammatory with a stomach pill that if you bought them separately, they were less than $100 for the 2 pills. But for 1 pill, you were getting charged $2,200 for a 30-day prescription. So that's no longer in play. We put the premium PDL program in for 1/1/18. So that cost is, and your prescription drug cost is actually lower. The next report will show that. So thank you for listening to my advice on that, because I think that you made a really good move in helping the members getting into the right prescriptions, but and also saving everybody some money on that. And then our last page is dental. Really, dental is dental. It's capped at $1 amount per year. So if your folks are getting their preventative services, that went up. The diagnostic, again, is part of your preventative, that's your x-rays. The basic services, they increased slightly. They actually didn't really total pay from 16 to 17, almost stayed even. Major diagnostics are your crowns, and those went up slightly. Orthodontia went down. Any questions on the 2017 data?
Where do we have opportunity to make changes in the upcoming year? Well, first of all, it's pretty apparent to me that the little tweaks that we make to co-pays and deductibles really isn't where we're making big changes. The big changes are in these big claims that we've gotten, and I don't know what all these are, but it doesn't look like any of them are anything that the employee took advantage of. We had more sick people with some serious illnesses, and what are we going to do to curtail that? What do we do? What plan design changes would have helped this situation here, other than long-term preventive care?
You did have a few more cancers last year. Unfortunately, you got a couple for 18 as well. So, the Real Deal program, putting them in and keep promoting it so that folks will want to engage in learning to eat better and exercise more to help the obesity. Because obesity can contribute to a whole slew of conditions that could elevate into something very severe.
Can I interject something? Yes. In 2017, you had a base and a buy-up plan that was substantially different, but you charged the employee the same amount. So everyone took the buy-up plan, and that had to affect the overall cost to the group, because there was the only people that took the base plan were people that had any dependents, right? So that could be something of it. You changed that this year. You made the difference be a different cost. To have the better plan, they're paying, what, $100 a month. And we had generally everybody move from the buy-up plan to the base plan in January, right? Maybe you come out.
We have like
two.
What's the return?
Did we see any improvement yet in the first quarter?
We've got that in the next
That has positively affected our pharmacy expense?
Yep.
In forcing them to go mail order and knocking out those high dollar items?
If you'd like, I've got the first quarter report, but it's the second tab in what you have there, and we can go through that.
There's some good news in there.
Keep it down, when you look at this.
Well, it's going to take a little time.
Yes.
That roll over into 2018, so it may take, through the third quarter to really tell what it may change in the last year to address some of these issues, and, it's not going to be really evident until later in the, 2018, so, but the good news is the first quarter looks better than 17.
But I don't see any glaring plan weaknesses at this point that would have stayed off what we've dealt with in 2017, other than general health and identifying problems earlier, possibly. But
I met with a customer last week who demanded mammograms wellness. We had to have it, or else your premium differential was a huge difference. She had a mammogram. She was 42. She told the client that they could tell the story. Didn't have any names. She was 42 years old, had never had a mammogram, went and had one because she was required to. They found breast cancer, stage 3, but they saved her life, is what she said.
somebody on our plan?
No, this was another customer. But by requiring a wellness exam and a mammogram and a PSA, you could catch something.
Requiring all those items, which right now we're not really doing.
Right. And so by what I wrote down was putting in a time frame is you've got to have all of these done by a certain time of the year. Because come 2019, your premiums are going to be different or higher because you chose not to go have that mammogram done or that wellness exam. They're required to do, almost, I think every one of my customers, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, and you're one of those 2 or 3, you don't require those, and you don't have a premium differential.
Well, when you say require it, do some of them say you either get checked out or you're not on our insurance?
No, they don't go that far, because legality-wise,
Legality-wise, you just can't do
You can't do
that.
that, you have to make it an option, so you say up front, this is what the wellness plan is, this is what we require for you to bring you differential next year.
And you all
Do you want to do it or not? And they
But
say
we
yes.
could make it significant enough where you'd be nuts to,
ours is all over $80 a month is the difference.
but then how long are you penalized until you go
For the whole
in?
year.
For the whole year.
For the
See, I
whole
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, not just this, as soon as you run and get it.
Right, no.
Yeah, run and go get it in January and then you've only been penalized 1 month. No, you're gonna pay
If we have an employee, like when you do this, and it's been a couple of years, and she said that she refuses to go to the hospital. She just is not gonna do that. So if you go to this ops, when you force them to have it, she just has to
She just has to pay
every
more
time,
money.
she's
She
just
just has
not
to
paying more money.
She just has to pay more money for insurance.
But you really can't specify
You can't
a certain
specify,
procedure.
right.
So, but if she's willing, if she's gonna at least go get a wellness exam, a mammogram, or pap smear, those are 3 good
Can
things.
we just simply engage with this group? We don't, can they pay for simply engage?
We have a health and wellness program, but it's not like Simply Engaged.
Does it provide biometric screens?
Yes.
Okay, if we could do a program where there was an on-site biometric screen, and the way they do it, they check cholesterol, blood pressure, glucose, BMI, and then they can give them a primary care doctor, and if they find something, then they send that information to the primary care doctor. But what most groups are doing is they're having on-site biometric screens, maybe over 2 days, where the people register, and if they don't register, then you give them a form to take to their personal phone. But if they don't do that, and maybe have one other criteria, that's where you start with your wellness plan. And then you say, okay, you've got to get this done. If you don't get this done, then next year it's going to be this difference. And then next year you may add another thing to it. But you have a 3 to 5 year plan where you're projecting and you're doing it in baby steps, where you're not just making them do everything at one time, because that's legal, okay? You can't, like she said, you can't make somebody do something that's not legal anymore. So I do think that you need to look at this. And what would be the cost to do the on-site biometric screens?
We've got it into a PEPM fee, so I'll make sure that.
So basically, like somebody going to the doctor and having that claim run through as an office visit, only you're bringing them here, and then.
does that count as your wellness exam?
Yeah, it counts as well as exam.
Sure does.
So if you do that, we're not going to call it, I can do the mammogram or a pap smear.
Well, what Tony is trying to say is when you're really starting in a wellness plan, you don't want to make it so robust starting off. It kind of stinks a little to the employees. And you can't really say you have to get this specific test. You kind of drive to that, and then each year you add a little bit more required actions in order to qualify for that differential following year. In our case, we have to do, we have a multitude of things that we can do, and we say we've done this, and it gives us points, and once we add it up to 300, then we'll qualify.
But that's an actual robust wellness plan that costs money. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about where we get paid to give you a wellness plan. You start with it and start with a biometric screen. You also could say if you participate in real appeal, that could be, maybe give you some points or whatever. Well, I know, but, or say, and then maybe the next year you start a smoking cessation program or tobacco cessation program, which they offer. A lot of this can be provided through UMR. But again, I do think that whenever we schedule the meeting for midsummer or late summer, we have a wellness person here to kind of present a plan.
Well, that's what I'm getting from this, is again, raising our deductible, a couple of $100 here and there, and making these little changes here and there would not have helped us. What's going to help us is this long-term wellness emphasis with stiff penalties for failure to comply. And
I think there are some changes in the we'll see how it turns out. So, but just generally speaking, as far as the first quarter goes, again, I don't think we can take time to go through that whole report. But generally speaking, your claims are running better. Okay, but again, like the first January, it actually was higher, but I think what you had was a lot of stuff got done in December, and it bled over into 2018. So I'm hoping that as we progress through the year, we'll continue to be doing a little bit better based on the changes that we made and some other things. So that's, I just think it's going to probably look a little better as we move forward, unless we just have a disaster, have a couple big claims happen, or the big claims that we have in the works.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. When you do the preventive and you get checked for this and you get checked for that, we haven't done that in the past. In this last year, it caught us because we had a lot of cancer. If we had caught that cancer 5, 6, 7 years ago, we wouldn't have these big bills today. That's the whole point. And, it's just like you said, that lady, stage 3 of cancer. What if that had been in place? She'd have found it in stage 1, and then your cost goes way down.
Right. And she wouldn't have had to have as much.
And I think it's going to take a little time because I've been pushing this for years and years about preventive stuff, and nobody wanted to do it back then. They thought that was too much money. Well, wait till you pay one of those cancer bills.
So this report's 7 pages. There's a couple pages I would like to go over real quick. Page 2 is a really good report. So this is our what we call a dashboard page. Kind of encompasses a little bit of everything that's on the other pages. You had an increase in your enrollment for 2018 compared to what the enrollment was from the first quarter of 2017. So you're up by 9%. And the positive is your total cost compared to the last time period is down by 26%. So your claims for the first quarter are coming in better. Now, over on the cost breakout, high cost claimants versus non-high cost claimants, those actually are much improved from the previous time period. Now, they're looking at 1 quarter versus the quarter of the previous quarter. So it is looking at 2017's quarter comparison. And then...
But it's looking at first quarter compared to first quarter.
Yes, yes. It's not, but there's a couple of pages.
It looks good, but you can't bet the farm.
No, because you don't know what's last 3 quarters.
Right.
You don't know what's last 3 quarters.
Right. There are a couple of pages that give you the whole year of last year and then the quarter of this year. So if you'll skip to page 4, the only thing I wanted to point out on this page was that for the first quarter of this year, and then where it says current year to date, it's in the middle of the page at the top, you've had some inpatient admissions, quite a few already. So if you wanted to just jump to page 5, this will show you, again, this is top 20 high-cost claimants. The threshold is $25,000, but this looks similar to my previous report, and that the top 20 claimants, it still has that column where it shows admits, days, and then the ER visits. So your number 1 claimant, they actually are termed. They termed in February. They had 4 admits, and they were there for a total of 31 days in those 4 admissions. The next person already had 3 admissions for 20 visits, 20 days stay. And they had 3 emergency room visits.
That's the spouse.
Yes. Yep.
There is no way on those over. We can't have a policy that says once you turn 65, you have to go on Medicare. Medicare will not let you do that, right?
Not if you're an active employee, no.
Yep.
Yep. Nope. They
You
will.
can't pick on old people.
Well, we'll be picking on them. They'd rather be on, they'd rather be
I'm
on
on
Medicare.
Well, we talked about that at one point, forcing them to Medicare.
But we
Don't
can't,
pick on us because we're
Can't do it.
65 or older.
we're not picking on them. Medicare insurance is better than our insurance.
Medicare will take them, but they'll charge them a higher premium for Part B. So if they call us and say, I'm 65, but I'm still working, but I want to take Medicare, Medicare will say, okay, well, here's your premium. And the premium, there will be a differential in the premium between if you're working or not working.
I had Medicare when I started here, and I've kept it. And I'm still, they hadn't changed it. They're not going to go up on
Most
it.
groups going on Medicare is usually an improvement of the group plan. Y'all's plan is so wonderful that I don't know why anybody would do that.
And two, they're just not even half the premium.
Right. Yes.
To the employees.
Well, let me ask this. A 65 and older employee that chooses to have our insurance should be a relatively minor drain to our county insurance, right? If their primary is going to be Medicare, or is that not?
We're not the primary, we are.
All the plan is.
As long as we have our insurance, we're primary.
And then we can't, I think I asked this, you can't give them like a supplement, so, you know, we say it's for Medicare, but here it is. A
But
bonus.
what most groups will do is they'll say, let's just explain the plan that the group has versus the Medicare with the supplement. And again, if you've got Medicare and a supplement, you have almost no out-of-pocket costs.
That's right.
Because the Medicare pays a percentage and the supplement picks up the rest. But like Christy said, that you do have to pay the Medicare Part A premium. Well, Part A is free, they pay for Part B, and then you've got the supplement cost as well as the Part D cost. All of that adds up to about $200. And most people just don't want to do it because they can be on yours for free, and it is wonderful insurance.
You know, back there when we were looking at this, and I was trying to get some things going this way or that way and trying to help it and stuff, and preventive is one of the major things I have always pushed. I just feel like, for example, I'll use my family. My granddaddy died of prostate cancer. My daddy had prostate cancer. What's the odds of me having prostate cancer? Pretty high. But I get checked every so often and everything, and I'm okay. Maybe I'll break the spell here. Maybe I won't get prostate cancer. But the odds are, at some point in time, I'm going to get it. If I live long enough. So I'm going to keep check of it. And that's the reason you catch it at this stage, or you wait to get to this stage, now you're talking about a sum of money that's not that big. You get to this fourth stage over here, and it's fixing to cost big bucks. What I'm saying, if we can prevent these things from getting to this last stage, it's going to help everybody.
I agree with you, but we checked the other day, and all the insurance, including ours, they're going away from that. I mean, colonoscopy, you used to, I can get one every 3 years. You can't get one every 3 years now. They won't pay for it. Stamping check, she has to wait 5 more years.
It's 5 now.
She's got to wait 5 more years. Hers
well,
will be 8 years apart, because that's all the insurance
It's
is paying.
5 years now, though, isn't
Well,
it?
and there's, for, UNR plans on wellness, Tony talked about it, is the United States Task Force sets the timeframe. I mean, they actually got rid of doing the PSAs, blood tests.
Yeah.
Or no, not blood tests, the other, the doctor doing whatever they do. The exam, the physical
They
therapy.
changed women's tax years as well. You got to do those, but if you've got a clean one, you're good for 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
I think because I've been here 4 or 5 years, and she done colonoscopy. She called last 2 months ago, or 2 weeks ago, and they said, you got to wait 4 or 5 more years. So, I mean, I hope she stays there 4 or 5 more years, but that's my life.
That's how
I don't know. That's our interest. That sounds like 2 years to me. It's like 5 years ought to be kind of far as you go.
That's what I thought it was, still.
Yes.
Change anything that they want to.
Yes, yes.
You can change the emotional wellness
All these things we've done and adjusted to.
But I mean, it's kind of defeats the purpose of the business. That's all right.
Yep.
Well, come late summer when we meet again, we'll need to be formulating our ideas for what we're going to do to the plan.
Right, absolutely.
And what I would ask is that you be prepared to give us some aggressive things that we can implement that are all focused on preventive care.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely.
But we're going to make it where you can't afford not to do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're to the point we've got to do something to curtail this ever increasing cost, and we're hoping we're going to have a considerably better 17 and start seeing some of the benefits. But this report tells me that's where our problem is. It's that it's those high dollar claims that we don't know if we could have prevented some of, but chances are we could have.
Right.
Well, I'm 68.
And why not give that opportunity a chance?
Just say, hey, folks, we're going to hold the line on deductibles, but
Right.
you're going to go to the doctor.
Right. Absolutely.
How many people y'all do, are the employees still getting free insurance?
No. You know, I don't know, I'd probably say 60% maybe. Depends on what class it is you're talking about. You know, if you're talking
A
about.
little water supply, yes, but big company shop size, I mean,
Employees of this.
I can think of one group, two, that's over 100, that pays for 100% employee only. Almost all of them pay like 75%. And they make their employees pick up 25% of the employee only costs.
My municipality groups, including yours, because I have three, the premiums about, on the employee only is, I've got one that their premium differential is probably 95. The plan, the city picks up for it, and 5% the employee contributes. Y'all are the only one that I have that's 100%. Employee pays nothing. And the city I live in, because my husband's on council, they pay the employees pay 26% of the premium. So they just went through, look at that.
We'll try to make it stop next week. All right.
Yes.
You want to target a date, some dates for next meeting?
Oh, that's what Rich was talking about. We've already talked that we could maybe start shopping 1st of September, probably can have data by the 1st of October, so if y'all wanted to do enrollment early again, we can still do it. But I think that probably maybe end of July, 1st of August. Carl, you always are gone. When you're gone in August.
I'm gone, first week of August, like maybe 25th of, I think I'm gone 26th through the 10th, maybe something like that. Which I don't have to have me here for that. But you do need to have those meetings, because if you're going to put something in place and require them to have it done, maybe you can't do it for another year, but November 1st, something like that's the date you're going to have to go.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's what I'm planning now. I'm looking at maybe the second week of August or
I'm on vacation the 18th to the 25th.
of August.
So we can do the first 2 weeks if the Carl's good with not being here.
That's fine. Do you have the data about the last week of July that you need?
No, what will you have?
Has to be August before you have it.
Yeah, to have the July.
So second quarter.
Oh, I can have second quarters, absolutely. I can have the first 6 months of this year in July. End of July.
End of July?
End of July, first of August.
Around our workshops, usually have our budget workshop around like the 22nd.
Yeah,
July.
something like that, 23rd, 24th, somewhere in that range.
What if we tentatively said Friday the 27th or the next week, Friday the 3rd?
I'm gone. I think those are the 2 days I'm gone.
I thought you said you were in August you were gone.
Well, it's usually, it's moved up a week this year, so I think it's like the end of July, the first week of August.
Could we do the week of the 16th?
Of August?
July.
Of July, that'd be fine. Well, are we gonna
What
probably have
are
a
y'all
meeting
looking
about
to
the
change
20th of
it?
July?
Usually it's always been next week, so that would be pretty good to have that before our budget workshop, because we could have our budget workshop the next week, so we already have this kind of, knowing what we're looking at.
The 20th of July?
It usually takes.
Yeah, 20th of July, be okay.
Okay, yep.
You want to tentatively do that at
And I will.
10 a.m.?
And I'll get, that may be the week that our wellness consultant's getting married, but we have another one, and I can bring her. If the 20th, say at maybe, what? 10? Okay.
Starting this year's January 1st.
Yeah, but we've got to do November sign-ups, and we've got to make decisions on what we're going to do with this stuff.
Keep in mind, we have, as far as payroll deductions, will be the first payroll in December. So that needs to give us some time. We have everything worked out. It's not putting pressure on Sharon to.
Yeah.
Last year, we did it the last week of October.
I know this goes so far here, lady.
And I have you can have a renewal by then? Oh, that'd be awesome. I can have you a marvel.
Okay, so I've got Friday the 20th at 10 a.m. of July.
And I was just telling Tony, I can have your renewal mark admin renewal by the 20th. So when I come to that meeting, I can have that renewal. We won't have your stop loss renewal by then. But
We're gonna meet, what are we gonna decide? What are we looking at changing?
we're going to look at some wellness programs that we can offer. We're going to talk about putting some wellness parameters in place. And
That we'll get more
That
people
will-
getting their wellness
wellness
exam.
done, see if there should be any premium differentials. If you don't do it versus doing it.
Wait a minute, what about premiums?
Hey, if you want to change it, that's when you'll have to decide what you want to do. That's all going to be during the budget time. You may not want to change premiums, you may not want to change any of that.
The amount of premiums that this court would be willing to raise is not going to fix the problem that we're seeing here.
No, but I do think you're better off having incrementally.
I agree.
Changes.
Especially on the dependent care, which is where we know we're underfunded.
Right.
So we've got to make another adjustment there and probably.
Because that's also at the same time, you're going to be discussing if you're going to give any raises or anything else. That's all budget week. That will all be budget week. That's when we'll have our workshops. At the same time.
I was gonna say something tacky, but I won't.
Your current surplus carrier was with Guardian, and they announced last Friday they're not going to be in the stop loss business anymore. So I do have to market your stop loss for 2019. We've got many other preferred carriers that are as good as Guardian, so we'll make sure that we market to you everybody that I can to get you the best price.
Yeah.
Do y'all let them know what we're doing in the process?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because that's
What
part
we're
of
trying
your
to do to
consideration.
correct some
Under
things?
positives, absolutely. For example, Guardian took into account that you were putting in the premium PDL program. So they take into account everything that y'all are recommending.
Well, I
And
still
it'll help
think,
to know if those decisions, when I go to market the stop loss, knowing what you're thinking on the plan design so that I can let the carrier know that.
All right, anything else?
Today.
And I don't know, you know, I think it's stupid, but somehow, and we may work with Bruce or Tony, but we need to have more informal meetings with our employees that really is, instead of just open enrollment, really all kinds of, we tell them, there's, I mean, we need to really sit down with these employees somehow and drill in these, if it means having 2 or 3 smaller
and we don't have the staff to do that, so how do we do
You're
that?
welcome to come, but, we sat there all day on Millfield and saw.
Well, now this is like insurance, this is like wellness.
When you do the enrollment, do you not talk to each one of them at that point? Do they not talk?
Yeah, but
They probably aren't listening. I mean, because I know.
Well, describe what would an effective way to do that be?
Well.
What are you trying to do?
Well, just to.
Well, I mean, if you're open to it, maybe.
And maybe they are, maybe open enrollment, they understand.
Well, what I was gonna say is what you could do, I mean, and are you doing a lot of hiring still? I mean, is it?
It'd be in our sheriff.
Well, for the sheriff's department.
Okay, so maybe if you did it every other month and you called people that were gonna come on the next two, people that just got hired, maybe have an informational, like a 30-minute informational meeting about insurance. Like a new hire orientation. Do you do a new hire orientation?
New hire orientation quarter, like a benefit.
It's just like insurance, okay, this is what.
So what she just said, once a quarter, have everybody that has been hired maybe in the last quarter, you're gonna have to make it mandatory, because if you just say, hey, we're gonna talk about insurance, who's going to come?
For example, we had calls, and it may be just for me looking in, like we have to call in, the mail order change.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people calling in, now was that explained in a moment? I didn't know. Well, we're coming back now that they're not gonna pay attention up here, but until they're gonna actually start using it, that's when they're gonna zero in.
Well, when they get their insurance, when she signs them up for that, do we not say, if you got a question about the insurance, you call? That's what I don't call.
It ain't a call. I mean, the past month has been a.
And that's what I don't know, so y'all tell me, we talk to people.
I just need to talk to them.
Because.
If I got a question, I may ask them a general question, but I just took questions, I call.
And they are doing it.
Oh,
But there's
yeah.
also people probably one a day at least.
Because I've been sitting back with Sharon kind of do all this before I was kind of in the middle of it.
And Amy already sends any of the sheriff's people, either Amy will ask us questions or she will ask them directly. But one thing that's kind of a good segue to this, because of all the claims questions, not for just from y'all, but from all of our groups, we're kind of making Gail Peacock kind of the point person for claims, because she's in the office all the time. And she is a weird creature that loves claims. So there you go. But she is the one who is just kind of digging through, like I know we had, I'll tell you, in addition to the other one, but we've had at least 2 people in the office since that one, since the phone call. Okay? So, but we're just basically saying, if Jessica and I are not there, they're going to Gail, do we need to make her a business associate on the, okay, so we probably need that to do that. So Christie, I'll send you an email like you say.
Can I take my name off?
No, I'll do it for you. I'll send you an email and say, will you give Gail, do you give Gail permission to talk to her?
Oh, I'm doing that portal deal?
Yeah, or I can do it for you.
Oh, you can go do it.
Okay. I have to have an email approval from you.
Okay, so I'll just send you an email.
I'll send it, and if you'll just write back and approve,
Okay.
it's done. But in open enrollment too, I tell anybody, I said, that's what we're here for. If you've got any issues, show up,
I just don't know how much they gain at that point.
We've got a YouTube channel. It sure is easy to make a 20-minute video and
we got all kinds of YouTube programs that we could send over the link.
email it to the department heads, make it available to any employee that's got a smartphone, can watch it on their smartphone.
Tony's done a video before, and I can guarantee But,
Your wife's got a computer, I know that.
I mean, we've got
She's the main one anyway, not me.
that I can share with y'all, you could send it out.
Well, and
It's not just that, but if we got a new hire, we could set up a.
Yeah, and like I said,
Watch this insurance.
Well, no, if you end up doing benefits in hand, you could actually attach things in that, and you can see if if date stamps.
no, you're talking about that because them going in online and doing their own.
I'm talking about as part of when the new employee from the sheriff department comes over. One of the things they have to do is we got a little computer sitting over there, or a tablet or whatever. Okay,
No, we can do that. We go to the insurance office, we can get a computer and set it up, and that's what happens. But no, we're not going to get anywhere on that computer where they go in and sign up themselves. We're not.
I think their election as it comes down to sharing as what they
Yeah, you send you an email back.
So that employees, I know like
They're
they're
not
guaranteed.
communicating directly.
Okay, so it's not like guaranteed, like my husband, they make employees that open enrollment, they go in themselves and they sign themselves up, so that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's
It's
really
not directly on the carrier, it comes back to you to still see what they did.
We just have to see what they did, I just want to do it at the beginning, that's a double.
We'll walk you
I don't know.
through, we'll let you look at it.
Which activity I can do? Anyway, all right, so it's very well, very, very professional.
We'll have to.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Chris. Steve, Jessica, Tony. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, it's time to adjourn. Motion is made by Commissioner Applewhite to adjourn, and a second by Commissioner Riddle. All in favor say aye. And so it was.